Chapter 681. The Ancient Truth, the Whereabouts of the Demon Clan. Upon hearing Lu Qing say he had already comprehended the Cold Ice True record, Han Lingshuang was immediately stunned, filled with shock. From the moment she handed over the inheritance Jade Scroll, how long had it been? It had been just a moment or two, and Lu Qing said he had comprehended the Cold Ice True record. One must know this is a primordial spirit level cultivation technique that can directly reach the primordial spirit realm. To be able to comprehend such a powerful technique so quickly. At this moment, Han Lingshuang finally understood why Lu Qing had already reached such an inscrutable realm shortly after the revival of the heavens and earth. Truly, his perception and talent are beyond defying the heavens. Palace Master, your Cold Water Palace's legacy has given me quite a bit of inspiration. Here, I have a cultivation technique which should be of some use to you. Please take it. At this moment, Lu Qing took out an inheritance Jade Scroll and handed it over. Your Excellency, you have already done enough for our Cold Water Palace. How can I accept such a generous gift again? Han Lingshuang was taken aback but directly shook her head to refuse. I do not like taking advantage of others, Lu Qing said indifferently. Though I have rescued your Cold Water Palace once, the previous meal and the reward of the Fire Spirit Pearl are already enough. This primordial spirit realm cultivation technique, you should not take it without giving anything in return. Just take it. Han Lingshuang heard the insistence in Lu Qing's words. She hesitated for a moment but eventually accepted the inheritance Jade Scroll. Seeing this, Lu Qing revealed a slight smile. Palace Master, the technique within the Jade Scroll is a cultivation technique inclined towards the water element, but it can only be cultivated to the Golden Core Perfection realm. Its origins are not simple. It is one of the core inheritances of a powerful immortal sect in a certain great world. The various expositions on the Golden Core realm within should be quite beneficial to your future cultivation. However, the cultivation technique Lu Qing offered was precisely one of the techniques he had seized from the hands of the two gray-robed brothers. Apart from the cultivation limit, which was not as high as the Cold Ice True record, the intricacies of the technique were superior. A certain great world. Han Lingshuang was initially puzzled, but then seemed to recall something, her face showing a shocked expression. Your Excellency, it is rumored outside that the two mysterious experts who appeared in Central State earlier were actually visitors from beyond the heavens. Might it be? Indeed, they are from beyond the heavens, from another world. Moreover, that world is far more powerful than the one we currently inhabit. But rest assured, that world is extremely distant from us. The two of them only happened to come to our world by chance. Lu Qing nodded, not minding revealing this information to Han Lingshuang. So there really are other worlds, Han Lingshuang murmured. Doesn't that mean our ancestors' departure wasn't without hope? Lu Qing's mind was stirred, recalling what Yan once said about the events at the end of the previous cultivation era. He asked, Palace Master, is there any record in your Cold Water Palace regarding what exactly happened at the end of the previous cultivation era? Where did those top immortal sects end up, and how were these four great secret places preserved? Han Lingshuang was surprised, seemingly not expecting Lu Qing to suddenly ask about this. After thinking for a moment, she said, Our ancestors did have some records about certain events at the end of the last cultivation era. Lu Qing's expression shifted, and Yan, within the leaving fire tripod, revitalized, showing an engaged demeanor. At the end of the last cultivation era, the Li Hua sect and its long-held rival sect, under the deliberate provocation of other forces, erupted into conflict. They even escalated to a life-and-death struggle, unleashing true fire. In the end, the entire Li Hua sect was destroyed, and the rival sect also suffered great losses, nearly falling apart. Only the young sect master, with the fierce protection of several elders, managed to escape with the heavily damaged leaving fire tripod and hide in a secret stronghold of the Li Hua sect. But the young sect master ultimately succumbed to unhealed wounds and perished in that secret stronghold. Yan himself nearly saw his true spirit dissipate, forcing him to fall into slumber. Thus, he was unaware of how the situation at the end of the last cultivation era in the cultivation world developed. The final outcome of the forces that annihilated the Li Hua sect also remained unknown to him. According to the records handed down from our Cold Water Palace's ancestors, the end of the last cultivation era was extremely chaotic. Many immortal Dao sects, vying for the boarding spots on the Breaking Realm ship, waged large-scale battles among themselves. Many sects were annihilated because of this. The quotas for the Breaking Realm ship? Lu Qing keenly grasped this term. Indeed, Han Lingshuang nodded. At the end of the last cultivation era, to avoid the calamity of the heavenly human 5 decays, the primordial spirit great powers of the cultivation world, after deliberation, came up with a method. That is, to gather the resources of the entire cultivation world and forge a supersized spiritual artifact flying boat capable of breaking through the world barriers and traversing the starry sky. Under the collaboration of many great powers and numerous immortal Dao sects, the Breaking Realm ship was successfully crafted. However, this was followed by another problem. Who would have the right to board the Breaking Realm ship? Although the Breaking Realm ship is a super-large spiritual artifact, its space remains limited, incapable of carrying away all cultivators from this world. Thus, the quotas for boarding the Breaking Realm ship became immensely precious. Nobody would willingly forfeit such an opportunity, as it represented a hope for survival. Thus, with a tacit understanding and the acquiescence of the primordial spirit great powers, many immortal Dao sects initiated battles. Chapter 682. Only the victorious sects are eligible to board the Breaking Realm ship. Anyway, according to our Cold Water Palace's records, the final great war in the cultivation world was extremely brutal. Nearly half of the immortal sects were annihilated because of it. The ones who won the war boarded the Breaking Realm flying boat and ultimately departed the realm. As for our 4 great secret places, it was the ancestors who decided that in the vast starry sky, everything is unknown, and it was uncertain if they could find a way out. So, ultimately, they selected some disciples with shallow cultivation and used spiritual artifacts to stabilize the secret realm, giving them a place of refuge. Even if they ultimately failed, it would at least leave some legacy for this world. After hearing Han Lingshuang's narration, Lu Qing finally understood what had happened at the end of the previous cultivation era, and the reasons for the disappearance of many immortal sects. It turns out they left this world by boarding spiritual artifact flying boats. In this way, some of the mysteries in his heart could be resolved. And Yen, within the leaving fire tripod, also suddenly realized. No wonder the conflict between Li Hua sect and the rival sect suddenly intensified at that time. It was apparent those behind-the-scenes primordial spirit great powers had long planned it. They wanted to first eliminate some sects, making it easier to gather materials and refine flying boats. As for why Li Hua sect was chosen, it could also guess the reason. It was likely because Li Hua sect was quite wealthy, but at that time did not have a primordial spirit great power in command. Young master, you should ask her if the Yintian sect ever boarded the Breaking Realm ship in the end? Yen suddenly spoke. Lu Qing was slightly stunned, then realized that the Yintian sect should be the sect that fought against Li Hua sect back then. Han Lingshuang heard Lu Qing's question, thought about it for a moment, then shook her head. According to the records of our Cold Water Palace, Yintian sect was not among the sects that ultimately boarded the Breaking Realm ship and departed. Yen fell into silence upon hearing that. Actually, after listening to Han Lingshuang's description, it had already anticipated this result. Back then, Li Hua sect was defeated by Yintian sect and eventually exterminated. But Yintian sect was also not in a good state, with most of its internal experts dead or injured, and their sect spirit artifact heavily damaged. Under such circumstances, they would surely not have survived the final sect war. Ultimately failing was only natural. However, although knowing that Yintian sect didn't meet a good end either, Yen wasn't particularly happy, because it knew that both Li Hua sect and Yintian sect were just pawns in the calculations of those behind-the-scenes primordial spirit great powers. Lu Qing sensed Yen's silence and roughly understood its feelings. However, he didn't say anything and began inquiring with Han Lingshuang. What about the Divine Talisman sect? Did this sect board the Breaking Realm ship? And what happened with the Demon Clan and Sea Clan in the end?
Han Ling Xuang looked at Lu Qing strangely.
She realized that the Honored One was indeed somewhat peculiar. Clearly knowing little about the ancient immortal cultivation era, yet somehow seemed quite knowledgeable about certain sects, being able to accurately name them. Despite feeling strange, she did not reveal it, but pondered for a moment and said, "The Divine Talisman sect was naturally on the Breaking Realm ship. According to records, this sect was extremely powerful, although the disciples within the sect were considered few compared to other sects. Every disciple was a genius, exceptionally strong. Especially at that time, the Divine Talisman sect was rumored to have 2 primordial spirit realm great powers. A sect so powerful naturally qualified to board the Breaking Realm ship. Even according to our ancestors' records, the Divine Talisman sect didn't even participate in the sect war, directly having the qualification to board the ship. As for the Demon Clan and Sea Clan, these 2 groups are very mysterious. It's rumored that as the cataclysm was imminent, the leaders of the Demon Clan, along with many great demons, disappeared overnight. And the Sea Clan, residing deep in the ocean, is not something our human clan cultivators can easily explore. So no one knows what their final situation was. Did the Demon Clan disappear in the end? Lu Qing silently noted this upon hearing. The reason he was curious about this was because of Little Li. According to Yen, Little Li's parents were likely high-ranking members of the Demon Clan. If the Demon Clan, like the high-ranking human cultivators, chose to leave this world, then Little Li's parents might not have truly perished. Honored One, you just mentioned that there really exists other worlds beyond this realm? At this moment, Han Lingshuang asked. Naturally, it is true. Not only do other worlds exist, but they are vast beyond measure. However, those worlds are very far from this world of ours. Even primordial spirit great powers, without utilizing magical treasures, relying solely on their own cultivation to travel, would likely need hundreds of years to reach another world. Lu Qing replied. His words were not mere fabrications. After eliminating that gray-robed man, he acquired a star map from his storage bag. From that star map, he learned that the world he currently resides in is located in a border wasteland that's dark. Even within the star map, this area is marked as uncharted territory. The distance to the nearest world from here is so vast it defies numerical description, much less traversing many unknown void and dark regions. Presumably, this is also the reason those great powers in the previous cultivation era wanted to craft a Breaking Realm ship. Without guidance from the star map, even primordial spirit great powers would be helpless and despairing facing the vast dark starry sky. Even primordial spirit great powers would need hundreds of years of travel time? Han Lingshuang was directly shocked upon hearing this. She is currently only in the Foundation Establishment realm, and whether she can smoothly break through to the Golden Core realm in the future is still uncertain. So she truly could not imagine just how distant that distance is. At the same time, she finally understood why the ancestors never returned once they left. Such a far distance, even if the ancestors found foothold there. Probably no one would be willing to spend so much time crossing the vast starry sky to return. So you needn't worry about any issues arising from cultivating the cultivation technique I passed to you. The sect it belongs to is in an incredibly far-off world and is almost impossible to return to ours. According to the markings on the acquired star map, Lu Qing knew. The 2 gray-robed men's coming here was due to coincidence and the miraculous nature of the void-flying boat. Their sect is in a great world called Tianyuan. That world is extremely far from here. The spirit stones consumed solely to travel via transmission array midway are a considerable number. Not to mention if the gray-robed men's sect could deduce their place of demise. Even if they could deduce it, Lu Qing doesn't believe the opposite would expend so much for 2 Golden Core Realm disciples to venture to an unknown place. Ling Shuang takes heed of your teachings, Honored One. Han Lingshuang realized the importance of the cultivation technique within the Inheritance Jade Scroll in her hand once Lu Qing mentioned it again. She instinctively held it tighter, solemnly responding. Seeing her solemn demeanor, Lu Qing then showed a slight smile. The reason he granted Han Lingshuang this opportunity was because he greatly admired this woman's character, especially when she willingly accepted Li Changguo's challenge for the sake of Coldwater City's citizens. Lu Qing regarded her highly. Perhaps in many people's eyes, it was a foolish act. At least even Lu Qing himself wouldn't sacrifice himself for others. But that doesn't stop him from respecting such a character. So he's willing to give a high-level Golden Core Realm heritage to assist Han Lingshuang in breaking through better. This trip to Coldwater Palace granted Lu Qing great rewards. However, it was also time to depart. Immediately, he said to Han Lingshuang, "Palace Master, now that everything here is settled, it's time for me to take my leave." Chapter 683 Han Lingshuang's Awakening, Location of the Spirit Stone. In the face of Lu Qing's farewell, despite Han Lingshuang's numerous attempts to persuade him to stay, Lu Qing ultimately chose to leave. "Sister Lingshuang, we're leaving now. Remember to visit Little Yen in the future." Outside the Ice Palace, Little Yen reluctantly said, "All right, when I have time, I'll definitely come to see you." Han Lingshuang was also very fond of this adorable little sister. She was the biological daughter of the previous palace master, born with a noble status, and grew up in the Coldwater Palace with everyone holding her in high regard. It was rare for her to have someone so close to her, and she was also somewhat reluctant. After the two said their goodbyes, Lu Qing finally took Little Yan's hand and soared into the sky, flying toward the outskirts of Coldwater City. Han Lingshuang stood in place, watching until their figures disappeared from sight. "Palace Master, has the Supreme Exalted left?" At this time, several figures appeared behind Han Lingshuang. Indeed, the Supreme Exalted said that this trip outside is to take Little Yen to explore the world, and coming to our Coldwater City was merely incidental. Han Lingshuang nodded and said, "What about Li Changguo?" Someone hesitated to ask. The Supreme Exalted said he won't appear in this world again. Upon hearing this, the others were instantly relieved of a heavy burden. Otherwise, having a Golden Core Realm existence harboring such deep hatred for the Coldwater Palace would indeed make one unable to eat or sleep in peace. Relaxing, some of them even felt like joking. Someone sighed and said, "Who would have thought that he has now reached such an unimaginable realm that even Golden Core true men are powerless in front of him? Yes, back when we were in Central State, we watched him cross the tribulation and step into the innate realm, and it's only been a few years, yet he's grown so powerful." Another person also sighed. After the revival of heaven and earth, he was the first tribulation crossing, capable of triggering a heavenly tribulation even when breaking through the innate realm. Truly beyond our comprehension. These individuals were precisely the core disciples sent out by the Coldwater Palace to Central State to vie for opportunities back then. Although they witnessed Lu Qing crossing the tribulation at the time, knowing the boy's future achievements would not be low, they still could not have imagined that the young boy would defy the natural order to this extent. In just 2 or 3 short years, he was already able to easily slay powerful Golden Core Realm individuals. Even the Suspended Mountain, with much deeper strength and foundation than theirs, was completely wiped out by his hands. Thinking about the Suspended Mountain made them feel grateful once again. Fortunately, back in Central State, they did not offend this person. Otherwise, they feared that without needing Li Changguo to invade, their Coldwater Palace would cease to exist. However, forming a good relationship with him this time is a great advantage for our Coldwater Palace. At least, anyone who wants to act against us in the future will have to think twice. Someone laughed and said. The others nodded in agreement. Since the great upheaval decades ago, the foundation of their Coldwater Palace has been severely weakened. Many old generation strong individuals perished in that upheaval. But because it all happened in the secret land, it remained unknown to the outside world. This time, however, with the old palace master's failed crossing of the tribulation and Li Changguo's aggression, it directly exposed their weaknesses. That is, they currently lacked strong forces above the Golden Core Realm in the Coldwater Palace. Originally, they were worried that after this, many forces would be eager to make a move and covet their Coldwater Palace. But now, with Lu Qing's relation, other forces dare not act rashly even if they have any thoughts. This is why the palace master opened the treasure vault, allowing Lu Qing to choose freely, without opposition even to the extent of offering the most profound cold ice true record of their cold water palace. Because they desperately needed to hold on to this powerful support now. Don't become too complacent. Upon hearing those words, Han Lingshuang said calmly, relying on others is not as reliable as relying on ourselves. Borrowed prestige can only last for so long. Even if the Supreme Exalted can deter petty scoundrels, there are too many foolish individuals under the heavens, and in time, someone might still act recklessly. To restore the prestige of our cold water palace, we must ultimately rely on ourselves. As long as someone in our cold water palace can successfully cross the tribulation and achieve several golden core realms, who else in the world would dare to harbor ill intentions? Even individuals like Li Changhua in the golden core realm would not dare to bully us at will. So, in the days to come, you must cultivate diligently, strive to break through as soon as possible, and restore the glory of our cold water palace. These words immediately made the expressions of several individuals become solemn, and they all respectfully replied, "Yes, Palace Master." After instructing the disciples within the sect, Han Lingshuang once again gazed toward the sky in the direction where Lu Qing had left, holding the inheritance jade scroll in her hand even tighter. From the time spent together, she naturally sensed that Lu Qing's attitude towards her was rather indifferent. In his eyes, she was probably no different from a passerby. From Lu Qing's demeanor, she could feel that his vision was likely not limited to this small world. Rather, it was the vast world beyond the stars. Furthermore, upon learning from Lu Qing about the vast heavens outside, her mindset underwent some kind of transformation. She developed a strong longing for that unknown vast world. Gripping the jade scroll in her hand, she silently said, "Supreme Exalted, don't worry. I will certainly step into the golden core realm and not disappoint you. Young master, that cold water palace master is likely using you." After leaving the cold water palace, Yen transmitted a message to Lu Qing's divine soul. Chapter 684. "Oh, what makes you say that?" Lu Qing asked with keen interest. "The cold water palace obviously has big issues. The power within the sect has greatly declined. As one of the 4 great secret places, even after such a long period of spiritual energy recovery, it doesn't have a single golden core realm cultivator. Even a mere novice in the golden core realm, with shallow foundations like Li Changhua, can flaunt his power over their heads. It's evident that the cold water palace must have encountered a setback, causing a significant reduction in its resources. Especially this time, after the incident with Li Changhua, the issues within Cold Water Palace have been completely exposed. It's hard to say that other forces won't develop ulterior motives. Thus, the Cold Water Palace Master is trying to ingratiate himself with you, wanting to use your influence to intimidate other potentially rebellious strong forces. Yen meticulously analyzed the Cold Water Palace's intentions. "Let them borrow the influence then," Lu Qing casually remarked. "It's just a matter of mutual benefit. The Fire Spirit Pearl is quite useful to me. These are merely small matters." Lu Qing naturally understood Han Lingshuang's little schemes. But this was also human nature. As long as it didn't touch his principles and bottom line, he didn't care about such trivial matters. Yen, upon hearing this, stopped speaking. It was merely trying to remind Lu Qing, and since he understood everything, there was no need for it to say more. After leaving Cold Water City, Lu Qing continued traveling with little Yen. At dusk, they arrived at a new city to stay, and at night, they lodged at an inn. Once little Yen fell asleep, he entered the leaving fire tripod using his heart and spirit. "Young master." Yen immediately came forward to greet him. "How is Li Changhua?" Lu Qing asked. "He is being held captive. This person is quite patient. Apart from initial panic, he has now regained his composure." Yen waved his hand and a spatial cage appeared, revealing the situation inside. Li Changhua was seen sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, appearing very calm. Of course, at that moment he was unaware of the surroundings and couldn't see Lu Qing and Yen. Lu Qing's heart shifted slightly, dispelling the barrier around the spatial cage. Immediately, Li Changhua opened his eyes. Upon seeing Lu Qing and Yan, a look of shock appeared in his eyes. Particularly, Yan's image made him realize instantly that this was not of the human race. "Sir, is your stay here comfortable?" Lu Qing said nonchalantly. "Though it's dark here, it's still quite peaceful."
Li Shangwu raplia.
Lu Qing smiled and directly said, "Li Changhua, your cultivation has been amassed with spirit stones. Tell me, where did you obtain so many spirit stones?" Upon hearing this, Li Changhua's expression could no longer maintain its calm. He stared closely at Lu Qing, unable to fathom how this mysterious young man could know about this matter. After all, it was his deepest secret. Even in that dreadful illusion realm before, he hadn't revealed a bit. "What, are you taken aback?" Lu Qing noticed Li Changhua's expression and said, "You think such a secret should not be known by anyone? Your foundation is weak, inferior to ordinary golden core realm cultivators. You must have used some method to quickly enhance your cultivation. Nowadays, spirit stones are the only thing that can produce such an effect." Hearing Lu Qing say that he was weaker than ordinary golden core realm cultivators, a trace of red appeared on Li Changhua's face. He had always desperately desired power, and the proudest accomplishment of his life was passing the heavenly tribulation and achieving the golden core realm. Looking across the entire world, it was considered one of the top existences. Being deemed as weak in Lu Qing's words now, how could he accept it? Yet, despite his unwillingness, Li Changhua dared not refute. The previous encounter had already shown him that the young man before him had terrifying strength, beyond his ability to comprehend. In facing overwhelming forces, Lu Qing called him weak, and he had to endure it. He took a deep breath, attempting to calm his emotions, for he knew this was his opportunity. Li Changhua remained silent for a moment before saying, "It turns out that Senior has captured me here for the spirit stones in my possession. This is simple, as long as the Senior is willing to make a divine soul oath. After I explain, let me go and ensure my safety. Then I will tell the Senior where the spirit stone is located." "You even know about the divine soul oath?" Lu Qing raised an eyebrow. "It seems you've also received some inheritance from the ancient immortal cultivation era. The divine soul oath in the last cultivation era was a technique that most cultivators had to learn. However, in this era, not many people know about it." Li Changhua did not speak, which was an implicit admission. If he hadn't received the inheritance, how could he have reached the golden core realm alone? "But do you think you're qualified to negotiate with me?" However, Lu Qing's next words made Li Changhua suddenly look up. Then he saw that Lu Qing's eyes emitted a strange light. Immediately, a wave of drowsiness emerged from his heart and spirit. Li Changhua secretly thought it was bad, but it was already too late. The next moment, he was once again submerged in the illusion realm. Moreover, this time, the illusion realm was even more terrifying than before. A quarter of an hour later, when Li Changhua awoke from the illusion realm again, his eyes were full of exhaustion. "I told you, in front of me, you have no qualification to negotiate, nor do you have any secrets to speak of." Lu Qing's words resounded, causing Li Changhua's body to tremble, and his gaze towards him was filled with fear. Just now, in the illusion realm, he had experienced unimaginable torment. Even in his perception, he had been tormented in the illusion realm for as long as 10 years. "Senior, since you already know where the spirit stone is, I wonder if you could spare me this time?" Li Changhua begged with pleading eyes. That's right, in the illusion realm, he ultimately couldn't endure the endless torment and revealed the location of the spirit stone he knew. "What do you think?" Lu Qing looked at Li Changhua with a half-smile. "Senior," Li Changhua said anxiously, "I have no enmity with you. Why do you need to drive me to despair, giving me no way out? If the Senior spares me this time, I can make a divine soul oath to become your servant. Henceforth, I will be loyal to you, becoming the sharpest blade in your hand. I can do anything for you. I do not need a servant like you." Lu Qing shook his head. "For treasures and power, you would even plot against your own wife and children. Someone like you, devoid of humanity, is not qualified to be my servant. Moreover, I promised the Cold Water Palace master that I would not let you live in this world anymore. Senior. Li Changbo was terrified upon hearing this, still trying to beg. But Lu Qing was no longer interested in listening to him. With a thought, a transparent flame was born from the spatial cage, sweeping towards Li Changbo. Greatly shocked, Li Changbo immediately channeled his mana to resist the burning of the spiritual fire. However, immediately, a look of extreme fear appeared on his face. Impossible! This flame! As the transparent flame touched Li Changbo's body, his physical body immediately began to dissolve. His fire element mana was of no use at all. Ultimately, within a few short breaths, he was engulfed by the transparent flame, burned to ashes, with only a fiery red bead remaining in place. A mere golden core early stage with a shaky foundation. Yet he thought he could resist the burning of the Nanming leaving fire tripod, overestimating himself. Seeing Li Changbo burn to ashes, Yen showed disdain. In the ancient immortal cultivation era, those in the Golden Core realm much stronger than Li Changbo also died under the burning of this Nanming leaving fire. Refining to death a small golden core early stage who didn't even possess a few magical treasures. It shouldn't be too easy. Lu Qing waved his hand, taking the fiery red bead into his possession. Seeing Li Changbo burn to ashes, Yen showed disdain. In the ancient immortal cultivation era, those in the Golden Core realm much stronger than Li Changbo also died under the burning of this Nanming leaving fire. Refining to death a small golden core early stage who didn't even possess a few magical treasures. It shouldn't be too easy. Chapter 685. Refined Fire Pearl. Spiritual Vein Land. The refined fire pearl is the name of the magical treasure in Lu Qing's hand. Originally, it should have been a top-grade magical treasure, but for some unknown reasons, it suffered severe damage, and its restrictions have defects. Now, it only possesses the power of a high-grade magical treasure. Moreover, this magical treasure is not the powerful attack type. It leans more towards an auxiliary type. Its greatest function is to rapidly absorb spiritual energy, aiding cultivators in refining pure spiritual power or mana within their bodies. In a sense, it is somewhat similar to his 5 elements gourd. Of course, this refined fire pearl can only refine pure fire element power, and is suitable only for cultivators focused on the fire element cultivation method. Compared to the 5 elements gourd, which can refine the power of all 5 elements, it falls short. Its growth potential is not even on the same level. Looking at the refined fire pearl in his hand, Lu Qing came to understand why Li Changbo was able to achieve the golden core so quickly. Aside from his inherent talent, which is indeed quite good, the greater merit should be attributed to this magical treasure. However, he still acted too hastily and opportunistically. Relying on the refined fire pearl, he refined spirit stones in large quantities, and though his cultivation advanced quickly, he became one of the fastest to achieve the Golden Core realm after the spiritual energy recovery. But because of this, his foundation is unstable, weaker than ordinary Golden Core cultivators who break through step by step, solidifying their roots. Otherwise, if he could remain patient, by continuously stabilizing his foundation with the refined fire pearl that matches him perfectly, perhaps he could really become a significant presence in the future. After pondering for a while, Lu Qing finally projected his heart and spirit into the refined fire pearl. This is his spoils of war. He naturally has no reason to return it to Cold Water Palace. Although he has no use for it, for his master who cultivates the water and fire Dao, it is quite an appropriate treasure. Li Changbo has already perished, both body and soul, so the refined fire pearl has become an ownerless item. Therefore, Lu Qing could easily enter it and conduct a simple refinement. He explored it and discovered that the refined fire pearl contains an internal space, which, although not large, can store some items. A glimmer of realization appeared in Lu Qing's eyes. No wonder when he burned Li Changbo with Nanming leaving fire, nothing was left except the refined fire pearl. It turns out he stored all his belongings in the magical treasure. Soon, many items appeared in front of Lu Qing. They were a small pile of spirit stones exuding spiritual charm, 2 jade slips, and various miscellaneous items like gold and silver. Lu Qing's gaze first fell on the small pile of spirit stones, and a smile emerged on his face. The spirit stones were not numerous, about 16 or 17 pieces, and judging by the spiritual charm they emitted, they were all low-grade spirit stones. But these are spirit stones. In the ancient immortal cultivation era, even large sects treated them as strategic resources, treasures not easily utilized. Acquiring more than 10 pieces at once is already an enormous gain. It can at least accelerate Lu Qing's speed to achieve the first turn of perfection, becoming faster. Moreover, according to the information Li Changbo revealed earlier in the illusion realm, the spirit stones he had were only part of them. Many spirit stones were still waiting to be mined. Then Lu Qing shifted his gaze to the 2 jade slips. This time, he didn't use his superpower to inspect the jade slip information. Instead, he directly used his heart and spirit to read the contents. Not long after, a hint of surprise appeared in Lu Qing's eyes. As he predicted, these 2 jade slips were inheritance jade slips. However, what surprised him was that the 2 jade slips recorded 2 completely different inheritances. One jade slip recorded a fire element cultivation method, capable of cultivating up to the realm of golden core perfection. It should be the cultivation technique that Li Changbo primarily practiced. But the cultivation technique recorded on the other jade slip was much stranger and more sinister. It was about the utilization techniques of divine soul power. It mainly discussed how to refine divine soul marks and imprint them into other cultivators' heart and spirit, turning them into puppets for one's use. Entirely an evil path technique, rather than a righteous one. Cultivating it could easily distort one's heart, detrimental to cultivation. Lu Qing recalled the words Li Changbo previously spoke to Han Lingshuang, saying he would train her into a soul slave. Turns out this was his reliance. After pondering for a moment, a wisp of white flame appeared in Lu Qing's hand, and he burned away the jade slip that recorded the evil technique. Such an evil technique detrimental to cultivation and easily distorting heart and mind should not be kept. As for the other fire element cultivation method, it seems rather decent and could be studied briefly. It could serve as a resource for him to deduce the subsequent techniques of the perfect golden core skill. After dealing with the 2 jade slips, the remaining items were of little interest. Lu Qing kept the gold and silver items, and he incinerated the other things in a single flame. After finishing everything, Lu Qing exited the leaving fire tripod. The next morning, he took Little Yen and flew all the way to a mountain range. Chonghen Mountain Range, so this is it. Standing in the sky, Lu Qing looked down at the continuous mountain range, his eyes showing a hint of peculiar expression. At this moment, in his eyes, the mountain range below was not just simple mountains. Its continuous peaks and peculiar terrain combined just right to form a natural formation. Spiritual charm and earth energies from hundreds and thousands of miles around were faintly gathering there. Moreover, this formation was very inconspicuous, showing no signs on the surface. Only an array master who has cultivated the divine talisman sect's legacy could see the clues. Chapter 686. Such a heaven and earth array. No wonder it can nurture spirit stones. Lu Qing's eyes glowed with an unusual light as he carefully observed the formation below. This time, he did not use his superpower but rather relied on his expertise in array runes to observe the heaven and earth array below. In the inheritance of the divine talisman sect, the cultivation philosophy has always emphasized taking all things of heaven and earth as teachers. This colossal natural formation is an excellent object for observation. Standing in the sky, he observed for a long time. Gradually, an array slowly emerged in Lu Qing's mind. There was only a framework at first, and slowly, many details began to delineate. Finally, a rather complete big array formed in his heart and spirit. It's done. A slight smile appeared on Lu Qing's face. Just now, from the heaven and earth formation below, he comprehended a big array. No wonder in the inheritance of the divine talisman sect, it has always been emphasized to take all things of heaven and earth as teachers. These natural formations are the best teachers. Comprehending the Tao rhymes within these formations can significantly enhance one's understanding and foundation in array arts. A realization arose in Lu Qing's heart. Since entering the innate realm and returning to Jili village, he rarely went out. The few times he did, it was to find trouble with the suspended mountain. Now it seems he had neglected this aspect of cultivation. But it's not too late now, especially as he accompanies little Yen on this journey. He can take this opportunity to observe the great geographical formations of the world, adding depth to his array rune expertise. From the Chenquan bag, he took out a blank jade scroll and inscribed the array he had just comprehended into it. Although this array is complete, it is still relatively rough. It will require Lu Qing to gradually perfect and supplement it with details. And in this process, it is also a kind of training for his array formation ability. Let's name it the 100 Rivers Spirit Array. After inscribing the array, he put away the jade scroll. Only then did Lu Qing fly downwards with little Yen. Upon arriving here, even without Li Changgua's instructions, he knew where the land-nurturing spirit stones was located. It was at the array eye at the center of this natural formation. Soon, Lu Qing brought little Yen to the array eye's location. They found several peaks resembling turtles and snakes. On the peaks, there were clusters of buildings, and the mountain gate had the 3 large characters Long Hatred Sect engraved on it. I see, Li Changgua was indeed meticulous. He likely used some method to discern the extraordinariness of this place. Hence, he established the Long Hatred Sect early on to occupy this location. This way, whatever he planned to do here wouldn't attract much attention. A realization dawned in Lu Qing's heart. He had no intention of disturbing the people of the Long Hatred Sect, so he cast a concealing talisman on himself and little Yen. Then he proceeded towards the place Li Changgua had mentioned. Along the way, Lu Qing saw some disciples of the Long Hatred Sect. Some were cultivating, some were busy, and others were discussing something. Especially those discussing had faces filled with excitement. They mentioned that their sect was challenging the Cold Water Palace and would surely return victorious. Clearly, they hadn't yet learned that their sect master had already fallen. But that's not surprising. The Long Hatred mountain range is quite a distance from Cold Water City, spanning 2 provinces. Without special means, news wouldn't travel here so quickly in just 2 or 3 days. Moreover, after Li Changgua's true nature was revealed in Cold Water City, he was the subject of public revulsion and scorn. Under such circumstances, whether anyone would bother to inform the Long Hatred Sect remains uncertain. Lu Qing had no intention of clashing with these disciples, who were at most in the innate realm, as they couldn't see through the power of the concealing talisman. Soon, he took little Yen to the back mountain of the Long Hatred Sect. Upon seeing the enormous Forbidden Land characters carved on the cliff, Lu Qing knew he had come to the right place. Following Li Changgua's instructions in the illusion realm, he quickly found the small entrance at the foot of the mountain. Looking at the unassuming entrance, barely wide enough for one person, Lu Qing was speechless. If not for the simple camouflage array covering the entrance, preventing ordinary people from seeing through it, he would have doubted if he had found the right place. He immediately activated his superpower, gazing towards the entrance. Soon, the purple superpower light emerged from the entrance. Several notes floated up. Spiritual vein entrance. The entrance to a spiritual vein nurtured by the earth. Beyond this entrance, a spiritual vein is being nurtured. Spiritual veins are a mystical land, formed by natural heaven and earth formations, gathering the spiritual charm of heaven and earth to nurture it. A simple illusion array conceals it. Beyond the entrance, there seem to be traps laid, so intruders must proceed with caution. Seeing the notes floating above the entrance, Lu Qing knew he hadn't found the wrong place. This small cave was indeed the place he was seeking. Who would have thought that the spiritual vein capable of nurturing spirit stones was hidden in such an inconspicuous entrance? Perhaps this is what is meant by spiritual objects obscuring themselves. After a brief moment of reflection, Lu Qing casually waved his hand, dispelling the simple illusion array at the entrance. Then, taking little Yen by the hand, he walked inside. After entering the entrance, he flicked a finger and embedded a few jade talismans at the entrance. Under the activation of mana, the jade talismans interconnected, and an invisible light curtain rose, thoroughly concealing the entrance. Li Changhua was clearly not proficient in arrays. The illusion array he set up was rudimentary. At most, it could deceive the perception of those in the innate realm, and even then only those with lower cultivation. If someone with strong will and spirit happened to come along, they might still see through it. But Lu Qing's array was different. With his mastery of array arts, even an array formed by just a few simple jade talismans wasn't something ordinary cultivators could discern. Even a strong golden core realm cultivator would be hard-pressed to notice anything amiss without approaching closely. With the entrance concealed, Lu Qing continued onward with Little Yen. As expected, the entrance extended downward, leading deeply into the earth. The tunnel wasn't wide, allowing only 2 people to walk side by side, and it was very dark, appearing eerie and terrifying. But this was no obstacle for Lu Qing. He condensed a light orb with his mana, suspending it before him. Instantly, the tunnel became brightly lit, every detail vividly clear. He then proceeded forward with Little Yen. All along the way, it was neither surprising nor dangerous. Although Li Changhua had laid some traps inside, how could they possibly pose a threat to Lu Qing? So he easily dispelled all those traps. Gradually, as he ventured deeper into the cave, Lu Qing finally began to sense a different kind of spiritual charm permeating the cave. His spirits lifted, knowing they must be nearing the spiritual vein. Indeed, with every step forward, Lu Qing felt the spiritual charm in the tunnel grow denser. Eventually, it surpassed even the dense spiritual charm found in the Jade Cave. Ah Qing, where is this place, and why is the spiritual charm so dense? At this moment, Little Li couldn't help but poke his head out from Lu Qing's embrace, staring wide-eyed at their surroundings. Little Li, are you awake? Lu Qing chuckled. This should be a spiritual vein land. Spiritual vein land? Little Li looked around, feeling the increasingly thick spiritual charm, astonished. It couldn't help but think that cultivating here long-term could lead to rapid improvement in cultivation. At this moment, even the 5 elements poked its head out from Little Yan's hood. Clearly, it was also very pleased with this place. Amidst Little Li and the others' amazement, Lu Qing quickened his pace. Soon, surrounded by spiritual charm so dense it was nearly tangible, he suddenly felt the space ahead open up. A vast cave chamber appeared before them. The sight inside immediately took Lu Qing and the others' breath away for a moment. How beautiful! After a long while, Little Yen couldn't help but exclaim in awe. Chapter 687. Spirit Vein Treasure Land, Various Reactions, Saint Master's Determination. Looking at the scene before him, Lu Qing was somewhat stunned. In the spacious cave room, it was bright, with specks of jade stones adorning the surrounding cave walls. This made the entire cave room resemble a starry sky, appearing incredibly magnificent. The spiritual charm within the cave was exceedingly dense, even more so than in the Jade Cave within the 10,000 Great Mountains. Is this a spirit vein? No wonder Li Changhua could step into the Golden Core realm in such a short time with just one refined fire pearl. Owning such a treasure land, it's hard not to advance rapidly in cultivation. Lu Qing couldn't help but exclaim in awe. At the same time, he also reflected on Li Changhua's foolishness. With such a treasure like a spirit vein, instead of properly accumulating and growing his strength, he chose to show off in Cold Water City, clashing with me. One can only say that the resentment in his heart was too deep. As soon as he gained power, he couldn't resist seeking revenge. Who knows what kind of humiliation Cold Water Palace gave him back then, to the point that he couldn't even bear to wait a little longer. Of course, this naturally worked in Lu Qing's favor. If Li Changhua hadn't been impatient, he wouldn't have been able to find this spiritual vein land. Such dense spiritual charm. Little Li was also completely stupefied at this moment. Having followed Lu Qing to many jade caves before, it knew how rich the spiritual energy was there. But compared to here, the spiritual energy in the Jade Cave could be considered ordinary. As for the 5 elements, it completely crawled out of Little Yan's hood, excitedly exploring the cave. The spiritual charm here was even denser than in the secret realm where it was born. After a while, Lu Qing calmed his mind somewhat and began to focus on the specks of jade stones on the surrounding cave walls. At first glance, he thought they were all spirit stones. But when he took down a piece of jade and examined it closely, he realized he was mistaken. These jade stones could indeed be called spirit stones. However, the majority were spirit stones that hadn't fully matured yet. Although the density of spiritual charm inside them was slightly stronger than that in the cave, they still hadn't reached the basic quality of lower-grade spirit stones. Upon realizing this, Lu Qing's mood finally completely calmed down. He smiled. Indeed, he had been a bit too optimistic. How could it be possible for such a large cave room to be filled entirely with spirit stones? If spirit stones were so easily nurtured, the ancient immortal cultivation era wouldn't have treated them as precious treasures and strategic resource reserves. Of course, while most of the jade stones in the cave hadn't transitioned into genuine spirit stones, the cave's value was still immeasurable. Not to mention anything else. Just the dense spiritual charm within the cave was enough to drive Golden Core realm experts mad. Ah Qing, are we going to cultivate here next? At this moment, Little Li jumped onto Lu Qing's shoulder, its eyes shining brightly as it asked. Yes, it's rare to find such a treasure land, of course. We will retreat for cultivation for a while. Lu Qing nodded. That's so great. Little Li cheered. Usually lazy in cultivation, even it couldn't resist the urge to cultivate well here, feeling the dense spiritual charm. But aside from cultivating, you all have to help me too, selecting and excavating the spirit stones in this cave for me. Little Li and the 5 elements were no ordinary spiritual beasts. Their sensing ability was extremely strong. Especially Little Li. According to Yen, the Black Knight Spirit Fox was renowned as a treasure-seeking master in the ancient immortal cultivation era. Its sensitivity to treasures was far stronger than that of human cultivators. Moreover, their bodies were strong, making excavating spirit stones quite easy. Don't worry, leave it to me. Little Li agreed readily. It knew Lu Qing desperately needed spirit stones, having heard him lamenting not long ago that spirit stones were insufficient. All right, then let's take some time to retreat here for a while. Lu Qing smiled, feeling the dense spiritual charm in the cave, his heart also full of anticipation. He could sense that achieving the first transformation of the Golden Core was within sight. Thus, Lu Qing stopped his travels and settled in this spiritual vein land. After all, his universe bag of vital energy was filled with a large amount of living essentials, with no need for external supplies. Let alone the fact that even the one with the weakest cultivation among them, Little Yen, was at the innate realm early stage. As long as they entered the cultivation state, nourished by spiritual power, they wouldn't have any issues even without food or drink for a long time. While Lu Qing and the others were in seclusion within the spirit vein, the events in Cold Water City slowly spread out after several days of fermentation, gradually becoming known to various forces across the world. East State Qingyang Temple. Several old Taoists were sitting under a giant old pine on the edge of a cliff, discussing something. You all know, right? The events in Cold Water City. One of the old Taoists with white hair and beard said, Yes, we know. It's unexpected that the leader of the Long Hatred sect, who was unknown, could cultivate to the Golden Core realm so swiftly. Surely, he encountered unimaginable fortunes and opportunities. Another old Taoist said, Naturally, he had fortunes. Without our secret land's foundation, cultivating so quickly would seem impossible without fortuitous encounters. But it doesn't matter now. What's important is that the young one appeared in Cold Water City. Indeed, according to the messages from the temple disciples, if not for his appearance in Cold Water City, Cold Water Palace might have been in danger this time. Precisely, it's unexpected that the old palace master of Cold Water Palace failed in crossing the tribulation. No wonder Cold Water Palace has been so low-key these past 2 years. Chapter 688. The failure of the old palace master's tribulation is one reason, but the most important is the turmoil Cold Water Palace experienced decades ago depleted too much of its foundation. The old cultivators of the Foundation establishment realm nearly all died. Thus, with the old palace master gone, Coldwater Palace had no one left to maintain its presence. This almost led them to be driven to desperation by the new Golden Core cultivator. Yet, it's true that he is indeed worthy of his reputation. Even a Golden Core realm cultivator has no ability to resist before him. No one knows exactly how he cultivated. The previous disappearance of the two mysterious powerhouses and the vanishing of the suspended mountain are rumored to be his handiwork. But without solid evidence, there is still doubt. This time it was witnessed by tens of thousands of Coldwater City citizens. It completely confirmed the terrifying nature of this figure. The first tribulation crossing person since the changes in heaven and earth, such an unparalleled genius is likely the person chosen by the heavens in this era. At least in the early part of this immortal Tao era, he is to be revered. Indeed, Ching Su, remember to restrain the disciples in the future. Don't enter the 10,000 great mountains casually. Yes, Temple Master. Immediately, several old Taoists established a rule not allowing disciples to freely enter the 10,000 great mountains. There's no choice, that person is simply too frightening. Although he didn't deny the disappearance of the suspended mountain, he passed messages through the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master to other secret lands, claiming no ill intent. But everyone remains skeptical about it. After all, making a secret land, along with its reliant secret realm, completely vanish, is truly beyond belief. They can't imagine what level of cultivation and divine skills could accomplish such a feat. Not to mention that the one who achieved all of this was a young man who just broke through to the innate realm 2 years ago. Because it's so inconceivable, it leaves everyone with a feeling of disbelief. But this time, Lu Qing had all Coldwater City citizens, facing numerous innate realm and Foundation establishment realm cultivators. Easily, casually suppress and kill a genuine Golden Core realm powerhouse. Thus they must believe that Lu Qing has truly grown to an unreachable level. For quite a long time in the future, it's likely the entire world will respect him. Since it's already a fact, the best way is to learn how to get along well with this figure. Central State, Holy Mountain. 3 Saint Masters are seated facing each other. The aura of the first Saint Master, stable as a mountain, thick as the earth. Obviously, after some time of recuperation, not only has his injury fully recovered, but his cultivation is completely stabilized and has advanced further. As for the second and third Saint Masters seated opposite him, their aura is also powerful. Revealing the meaning of perfection and harmony, mana occasionally flickers on their bodies. They have evidently stepped into the Golden Core realm. You've all received the news from below, haven't you? After a moment of silence, the first Saint Master spoke in a deep voice. Brother, are you referring to the event in Coldwater City, where a newly ascended Golden Core realm was slain? There's no much to say about that. He even managed to kill those 2 extraterrestrial visitors from that day. Killing a newly ascended Golden Core early stage isn't unusual. The third Saint Master said, somewhat curiously. Indeed, we all felt how strong those 2 extraterrestrial visitors were that day. Even now, the 3 of us together may not be the match of that youth in white. That young man can kill them. His means and divine skills have reached an unimaginable level. Killing a newly ascended Golden Core realm is way too easy. The second Saint Master also nodded. Compared to the previous skepticism in Qingyang Temple, Holy Mountain had already been sure. It was indeed Lu Qing who killed those 2 incredibly powerful extraterrestrial visitors. After all, when Lu Qing killed those 2 extraterrestrial visitors, Lin Jirue witnessed it firsthand. And, since Tianji Building was governed by Holy Mountain, they would naturally report the matter to them. So the second and third Saint Masters found it hard to understand why their brothers specially brought up this matter. In their view, it would be strange if that figure couldn't kill the newly ascended Golden Core realm. What I want to talk about is not the act of him killing the Golden Core realm. The first Saint Master said, I want you to pay attention to that slain Golden Core realm. This person, before the spiritual energy recovery, was merely an ordinary innate realm cultivator with average performance, lacking any remarkable features. However, after the spiritual energy recovery within 2 or 3 short years, their cultivation has advanced enough to catch up with ours, achieving the golden core realm. This is indeed unusual. It should be due to some extraordinary encounter. Intelligence reported that a strand of origin energy fell into Long Hatred Mountain that day, supposedly obtained by Li Changhua. Looking at it this way, that Chonghen sect master should also be a person of extraordinary fortune. The second Saint Master speculated. That's exactly what I want to say. The first Saint Master said, after the spiritual energy recovery, the fate of the world has become more complex. Many originally ordinary figures might suddenly see their fortunes soar, constantly encountering fortuitous events. Within a short time, they will wield powerful forces and become strong. However, thus the worldly patterns are bound to change. These newly ascended powerhouses, whether searching for cultivation resources or for status, will inevitably contend for their interests. Upon hearing this, the second and third Saint Masters remained silent. They know what their brother says is correct. Once cultivators grow strong, their desires will also magnify. Whether fighting for resources or fame, they definitely won't stay low-key. If that's the case, a new round of power restructuring is inevitably going to happen. Brother, hasn't this issue been discussed before, prior to the changes in heaven and earth? This is the major trend of the world, and we can only watch what happens, unable to defy it. The third Saint Master couldn't help but say, I am aware that this is an inevitable trend beyond our control. However, while we can't change the trend, we can make the process of evolution less intense. Second brother, third brother, do you still remember our sacred vow? The second and third Saint Masters trembled slightly, recalling events from over 1,000 years ago. At that time, the three brothers were relentlessly pursued by enemies and, seriously wounded, had to hide within the holy mountain. To gain the recognition of the mountain soul, they made a vow to dedicate their lives to protecting exceptional talents and maintaining worldly stability. Ultimately, they escaped death, not only recovering from injuries but also killing the pursuers. They even obtained various inheritances, embarking on the path of cultivation, becoming revered as masters of Holy Mountain. Brother, we certainly haven't forgotten the sacred vow we made, the third Saint Master said solemnly. The second Saint Master, though silent, had a grave expression as well. Though the Holy Mountain Soul has never forced us to anything, the first Saint Master said, I believe you understand if we wish to depart from the confines and seek freedom, we must not violate our hearts, nor the sacred vow we made. Otherwise, with our thoughts impeded, our cultivation progress will be difficult. This lifetime might have no hope of leaving the confines. The second and third Saint Masters fell silent again. After a while, the third Saint Master asked, Brother, what do you want us to do? Nothing grand, with the current chaos in the world. I want to once again issue a decree in the name of Holy Mountain. Strong cultivators must not engage in fighting or exhibit power within cities where the human race congregates. The first Saint Master spoke slowly and solemnly. The second and third Saint Masters showed shock. Brother, that might be impossible now. The second Saint Master couldn't help but say, Today's world isn't what it was 1,000 years ago. Our three alone might find it hard to do such things. The third Saint Master had a look of agreement on his face. With just the three of us, it would indeed be difficult. The first Saint Master said, But there is someone who can. Chapter 689. Rapid progress, first transformation into perfection. Master sends a message. Someone can. Who? The third Saint Master was initially incredulous, but he quickly caught on. Brother, could you be referring to that young man? Indeed, in today's world, besides him, who else can truly suppress the masses and genuinely intimidate villains? The first Saint Master nodded. The second and third Saint Masters remained silent. They knew what their eldest brother said was true. If there's anyone in today's world who can intimidate the four directions and stand above all cultivators, it must be that young man. But, would he be willing to step forward? The second Saint Master asked. The three brothers founded the holy mountain due to their initial grand aspirations. That young man, however, is not bound by such aspirations and may not be willing to do this thankless task. Let's give it a try. Although he appears ruthless, in truth, he has shown compassion for ordinary people throughout his actions. He once even traveled thousands of miles to destroy the Flowing Cloud sect for the tragedy that befell ordinary people in a small town. The same goes for Coldwater City, where Li Changhua's threats to annihilate the townspeople provoked him to act. It's evident that he stands on the side of righteousness. Moreover, his mentor is someone who possesses the merit light. Perhaps we can find a way to persuade him from this angle. The first Saint Master clearly had already formulated a plan. The other two Saint Masters pondered for a moment and found their elder brother's reasoning sound. Elder brother's words are indeed worth trying. If he's truly willing to take a stand, perhaps we can re-establish the rules of Holy Mountain. Let Tianji handle this matter. He is acquainted with that young man, and his direct disciple is even a friend of that youth, making persuasion easier. Yes, Tianji is a good choice. Thus, after the three Saint Masters concluded their discussion, a message flew from the Holy Mountain and landed at Tianji Building in the Holy City. Upon receiving the message, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master opened it and was immediately filled with a look of shock. As days passed, Lu Qing's actions in Coldwater City caused quite a stir among many forces, prompting many to become more restrained, even instructing their disciples to be cautious and watchful for the possible appearance of a young man accompanied by a little girl within their domain. If they do encounter them, they must avoid provoking them, treat them with utmost respect as honored guests, and ensure they have a pleasant experience. After all, that young man is indeed terrifying. Even true man at the Golden Core realm couldn't put up a fight before him. It's rumored that the Suspended Mountain, which has heritage spanning tens of thousands of years, was also destroyed at his hands. An existence like this, if he were to travel to their domain and any foolish disciple displeases him, they may well be uprooted and wiped out. Hence, no force dares to treat this lightly. Nonetheless, as many forces cautiously and meticulously trace the siblings' whereabouts. Months passed, yet these forces were stunned to find that the siblings haven't appeared again. Across the entire world, there hasn't been any rumor of the siblings' emergence. It's as if they've gone silent, vanished without a trace. Of course, even so, many forces remain apprehensive. After all, with his skill, concealing his trail without being discovered is ridiculously easy. Perhaps they simply changed their appearance and continue their journey unnoticed. In this strange atmosphere, furthermore, everywhere, there have been phenomena appearing now and then. These are the phenomena of powerful cultivators breaking through, ranging from stepping into the innate realm, foundation establishment realm, even golden core realm. It indicates that, after years of reawakening, numerous cultivation geniuses, previously hindered by nature from breakthrough, have finally adapted to the changes in the world and started breaking through their limits, entering new realms. And as more formidable figures emerge, the world structure begins to slowly evolve. Many newly risen powerhouses and sect forces, aiming to seize more cultivation resources, have embarked on their path of expansion. During this process, naturally, numerous conflicts arise, leading to frequent battles and clashes. The raging storms outside did not affect Lu Qing. The spiritual vein land lies deep underground, imperceptible to anyone. Plus, the only entrance is concealed by Lu Qing using an array, ensuring no disturbance. Currently, in the cave chamber, Lu Qing sits cross-legged, eyes closed, cultivating. The dense spiritual charm is continuously absorbed into his body, then condensed and transformed by the 5 elements gourd into exceptionally pure 5 elements mana. Elsewhere in the cave, Little Yen, Little Li, and 5 elements too are diligently cultivating. Unknown how much time has passed, Lu Qing suddenly trembled. A surge of immensely powerful aura flashed from him, quickly collected. Yet this sudden aura startled Little Yen, Little Li, and the others awake. Lu Qing then opened his eyes with a sense of wonder. Finally, the first transformation of the golden core is completed. Indeed, the aura was his achieving perfection in the first transformation of the perfect golden core skill. After some nurturing, he can attempt to push into the realm of the second transformation. How long has it been? Chapter 690. Lu Qing sensed something. At his level, his perception of time was exceptionally sensitive. Even in this dark underground spiritual vein, he could still precisely grasp the passage of time. So with just a slight sensing, a hint of surprise appeared on Lu Qing's face. Has it really been almost half a year already? Indeed, in the mountains, days and months are indistinguishable, and the days of cultivation fly by quickly. Brother, what was that just now? At this moment, little Yen ran over. She was cultivating earlier when she was suddenly startled awake. Little Li and Wu Xing also came over. Sorry, I just had a breakthrough and couldn't control my breath for a moment, disturbing you all. Lu Qing said apologetically. So brother had a breakthrough, that's a good thing. Little Yen immediately became cheerful. Yes, it's indeed something to be happy about. Lu Qing smiled. At the same time, he was also sighing in his heart. This first transition of the golden core was even harder to complete than he imagined. Even with the support of the spiritual vein, it still took half a year to achieve the perfection of the first transition. Otherwise, just relying on absorbing nature's spiritual energy, who knows how long it would take to cultivate. Fortunately, on this outing, he found this spiritual vein. Feeling the abundant spiritual charm in the cave room, Lu Qing was very satisfied. With this treasure land, there's a chance he might achieve the second or even the third transition of the golden core. Ah Qing, look what I found while you were cultivating. At this moment, little Li came over with a bag. Lu Qing took the bag and found it quite heavy. Opening it, he saw flowing brilliance. It was a small bag of spirit stones. He estimated there were at least 70 or 80 pieces. Ah Qing, I, along with that stinky snake, have dug out all the spirit stones in this cave room. Inside the walls, I can sense a few more spirit stones, but I didn't dare to dig randomly. I wanted to wait for you to wake up to decide. Little Li's voice echoed in Lu Qing's mind. Lu Qing asked, Little Li, how many spirit stones do you sense in the cave walls? Not too many, maybe about half of what's in this bag, and some are quite deep in the cave walls. Lu Qing thought for a moment and shook his head. Then don't dig them for now. It would be bad if it collapses. Currently, being deep underground, even though he had the confidence to escape if the cave collapsed, it would be a great loss if the spiritual vein was destroyed in the process. I thought so too, so I didn't dare. That stinky snake wanted to take matters into its own hands and dig, but I scolded it severely. While taking credit, little Li didn't forget to accuse Wu Xing. Lu Qing looked at Wu Xing. The 5-colored winged snake immediately shrank its head. At that moment, it only thought this was the task the master ordered. So the more it dug, the better, and didn't think much of it. Seeing Wu Xing's sheepish appearance, Lu Qing didn't have much to say. The 5-colored winged snake, having grown up in a secret realm, was indeed quite naive. Compared to little Li, who had always fought alongside him and even often read books, it was naturally not as clever. For instance, in Divine Soul Transmission, little Li could directly speak and communicate smoothly. While Wu Xing could only vaguely express its meaning, the difference was apparent. Perhaps, should Wu Xing also read more books in the future? Lu Qing touched his chin, thinking silently. The downcast Wu Xing suddenly felt a chill behind it, and it became even more anxious, thinking it was going to be punished by its master. However, after waiting for a long time, there was no punishment from the master. Instead, Lu Qing asked, So, how are you all progressing with your cultivation? Brother, I have reached innate perfection. Upon hearing Lu Qing's question, little Yen happily responded first. Ah Qing, I've also reached perfect foundation establishment. Little Li also replied excitedly. Lu Qing nodded upon hearing this. Before the secluded cultivation, little Yen was at the innate realm early stage, and little Li was at great success in the foundation establishment realm. They had made significant progress over half a year of cultivation. He then looked at Wu Xing. but saw the five-colored winged snake, somewhat embarrassed, lowering its head. During this half-year of cultivation, besides its physical body becoming stronger, it had no other breakthroughs and was still at perfect foundation establishment realm. Lu Qing understood upon seeing its demeanor. Nevertheless, he wasn't surprised. Wu Xing was originally at perfect foundation establishment, and its next breakthrough would be the Golden Core realm. The breakthrough of major realms for spiritual beasts was even harder than for the human race. Not to mention the Golden Core realm. According to Yen, for spiritual beasts to reach the Golden Core realm, they also need to cross the heavenly tribulation. Moreover, the heavenly tribulation they induce is often more powerful than that of the human clan cultivators of the same realm. So Wu Xing being stuck at perfect foundation establishment was within his expectations. After thinking for a moment, Lu Qing said, "Wu Xing, you've been stuck at perfect foundation establishment for quite a while. This retreat has made your physical body more complete. Once you fully digest what you've gained this time, I'll grant you a few lotus seeds." The five-colored winged snake, upon hearing this, lifted its head abruptly, eyes full of surprise. So in the coming days, focus on cultivating well. The more solid your foundation, the higher your success rate will be for crossing the tribulation. The five-colored winged snake nodded quickly, like a pecking chicken. Seeing this, Lu Qing couldn't help but smile. The lotus seeds of the treasure lotus were extremely important to the five-colored winged snake. Once it refines these, it should be just about ready to cross the tribulation. After encouraging Wu Xing, Lu Qing took out a jade talisman. After sensing it for a moment, he was slightly surprised. Did Master send a message to me? Before going into secluded cultivation, he had sent a message to his master about finding a treasure place and planning to go into retreat with little Yen for a while, telling him not to worry. In such a scenario, the master still sent a message. Could it be something happened? He immediately began to read the information in the jade talisman. He then found that his master had sent 3 messages in total. The first 2 were sent 2 months ago, discussing the same thing, more or less about the Tianji building master visiting with urgent matters to discuss with him. The other was sent 3 days ago. In it, Master said he'd had an insight recently and feared he was about to cross the heavenly tribulation. Is Master about to cross the tribulation? After reading the 3 messages, Lu Qing directly ignored the first 2, focusing all his attention on the last one. He immediately sent a message back, inquiring about his master's situation. However, he waited for a long time without receiving a reply from his master. Lu Qing suddenly became a bit anxious. Without further ado, he immediately took little Yen and others to head out of the cave. "Brother, what's wrong?" Little Yen asked, seeing Lu Qing's anxious appearance. "Master sent a message a few days ago, saying he might soon cross the tribulation, and I don't know what the situation is now. We need to hurry back." Lu Qing replied while swiftly leading little Yen out. He felt regretful. Earlier, he was too absorbed in cultivation, forgetting to check the communication jade talisman, missing such crucial information. If anything happened to Master because of this, he would never forgive himself. Grandpa Chan is about to cross the heavenly tribulation, so we must rush back. Little Yen also became anxious upon hearing this. Now, little Yen, an innate perfect cultivator herself, understood the cultivation path well. Plus, having witnessed Lu Qing crossing the tribulation back in Central State, she naturally understood the terror of the heavenly tribulation. With little Yen in tow, once outside the cave entrance, Lu Qing rapidly embedded over a dozen jade talismans around the cave. The jade talismans linked the Earth's spiritual charm, forming a complete array, thoroughly concealing the cave entrance. This way, even a Golden Core realm wouldn't easily see the reality within unless they were proficient in arrays. After setting up everything, Lu Qing took little Yen into the sky. Once high above the sky, Lu Qing, disregarding other things, immediately summoned the void flying boat and entered it. The next moment, driven by mana, the void ship flashed and disappeared instantly. Chapter 691. Returning to the village, giving treasures, turmoil in the world. Above Jili village, a black vortex suddenly appeared. Soon after, a A somewhat tattered silver flying boat emerged from it. Lu Qing came out of the flying boat with little Yen, and then promptly put the flying boat away. His aura fluctuated slightly. In this world, there is a speed limit. Once the flying speed approaches the limit, a warning from the heavenly Tao's will is received. However, there are no such restrictions when traversing the void. But using the void flying boat to execute void traversal is very mana-consuming. Even though Lu Qing's cultivation had recently increased significantly, reaching the perfection of the first turn of the golden core, it was still a bit strenuous to wield. Brother, have we returned to Jili village already? Little Yen looked at the familiar village below and felt a bit dazed. Little Li and 5 elements felt the same way, all stunned. Just a moment ago they were in an unknown place countless states away, and in the next moment they were back in Jili village. The distance of tens of thousands of miles was crossed in the blink of an eye. This speed was truly terrifying. The 3 little ones had never ridden on a void flying boat, nor had they experienced the formidable power of void traversal. For a time, they were naturally astonished. It's the power of a magical artifact. Let's go back to the village first. Lu Qing vaguely explained. He released his heart and spirit, sensing his master's presence in the half-mountain small courtyard. Additionally, the village was peaceful, with no signs of chaos. He felt relieved, knowing the situation he feared had not occurred. He immediately led little Yen and the others down towards the village. As soon as they landed at the half-mountain small courtyard, they saw their master walking out of the house. A smile was on his face. I guessed that you all would be back around this time. Grandpa Chun. Little Yen hadn't seen the elder doctor for more than half a year, and immediately ran up to him to act playfully. Lu Qing looked embarrassed. Please forgive me, master. Your disciple has been in seclusion and hadn't checked the communication jade token, only discovering your message after coming out today. Just out of seclusion today? And now you've already returned? The elder doctor was surprised, knowing when Lu Qing had sent a message to him half a year ago, he was entering seclusion at Long Hatred Mountain, states away. If he came out of seclusion today, how could he already be back in Jili village? Your disciple has a magical artifact capable of void traversal, covering thousands of miles in an instant, but it's quite mana-consuming to use and not easy to frequently employ, Lu Qing explained. Such a miraculous magical artifact exists, the elder doctor exclaimed in surprise upon hearing this. No wonder, when Lu Qing left back then, he said to just send a message if anything happened, and he would return quickly. Initially, the elder doctor had thought it would take Lu Qing several days to get back. He did not expect that the quick return Lu Qing mentioned would be so immediate. With such a magical artifact, truly, the vast world could be traversed at will. Master, did you mention in the communication jade token that you're preparing to cross the tribulation to breakthrough? Lu Qing asked. Yes, it should be in the next few days. The elder doctor nodded. I can feel the opportunity for a breakthrough growing stronger. It's almost time. Luckily, I returned in time to serve as your protector, master. Lu Qing relaxed, retrieving a white and a red orb from his universe bag of qi. Master, as you approach crossing the tribulation, there isn't much that your disciple can do. During this journey, I stumbled upon these 2 treasure orbs, which are a water and a fire magical treasure that perfectly suits your cultivation of the water and fire Tao, master. Once you refine them, they should provide a bit more foundation to better face the heavenly tribulation. Lu Qing handed over the water element supreme treasure all method pearl and the refined fire pearl. These 2 magical treasures. Seeing the 2 orbs, the elder doctor felt a stirring of his heart and mind, with his spiritual power also becoming restless. Immediately, he understood that refining these 2 treasure orbs would be greatly beneficial to him. It seems there is destiny between master and these magical treasures. Lu Qing also sensed his master's energy fluctuations, smiled right away, and handed the 2 treasure orbs to his master. Master, these 2 magical treasures, the white all-method pearl, which is a supreme water element treasure, and this red one is a high-grade fire element treasure. Their grades and main functions are not equivalent. Once you refine them, you may need to slowly cultivate and temper them to turn them into the magical treasures most suitable for you. The all-method pearl and the refined fire pearl are not equivalent magical treasures. Their functions and grades differ. But fortunately, they are rare, pure water and fire magical treasures, precisely fitting with Master's cultivation of the water and fire Tao, and can indeed be refined. Initially, Lu Qing intended to use the leaving fire tripod to reforge and adjust them before giving them to his master. But with his master facing the imminent tribulation, having magical treasures for protection would help better withstand the heavenly tribulation. So he decided to give it to him earlier. Fortunately, with powerful magical treasures, as long as they are properly nurtured and integrated, can grow stronger along with the master's cultivation. After master successfully crosses the tribulation and achieves the golden core, there will be ample time to cultivate and refine these two magical treasures into ones most suitable for him. And what's more, personal cultivation and refinement of a magical treasure will result in a higher level of resonance and integration, making it easier to truly combine heart and spirit, achieving command with ease. A supreme treasure and a high-grade treasure. Holding the two treasure orbs, the elder doctor was shocked upon hearing this. He naturally knew that once a magical treasure reached the treasure level, it truly became priceless. However, the elder doctor didn't say much more, just quietly stored away the two treasure orbs. Chapter 692. Returning to the village, giving treasures, turmoil in the world. For the mentor and apprentice, many things no longer needed to be spoken aloud. By the way, Master, you mentioned a few months ago that the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master sought me for an important matter. What was it? Seeing his master put away the magical treasure, Lu Qing asked. This matter is indeed very important, the elder doctor said seriously upon hearing this. Last time, the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master came under the command of the three saints of the Holy Mountain. They said that the three saints saw the chaos rising in the world and wanted to reestablish order and issue prohibitions. But they felt that, with the current world full of emerging talents and heroes rising together, just the three of them might no longer command enough respect to have the world accept the prohibitions. Therefore, they want you to also step forward to seek stability for all living beings in the world. The Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master, knowing the elder doctor's character and Lu Qing's respect for his master, did not hide his purpose when he came here. On the contrary, he very earnestly and thoroughly informed the elder doctor of the three saints' intentions. He hoped that this kind and benevolent old man could help persuade Lu Qing. The three saints want me to step forward to help establish prohibitions? This truly surprised Lu Qing. He never expected that the Heavenly Mechanism Tower Master came for such a matter. For a moment he fell into silence. Ah Qing, this matter is of great importance, and you must carefully consider it. If you're not careful, you could become the common enemy of the world. If it's unfeasible, it's better to refuse the three saints, the elder doctor advised Lu Qing when he saw his silence. Although the elder doctor believed that the saint's endeavor could indeed benefit all beings if successful, Lu Qing's safety was equally important in his heart. If there was no certainty, he did not want Lu Qing to endure such turmoil. After a moment of silence, Lu Qing asked, "Master, I have been in seclusion recently and am not familiar with the events of the past 6 months. Is the outside world in turmoil?" The elder doctor pondered for a moment and said, "It seems quite chaotic. Artsong State is relatively fine due to its remote location, coupled with your presence, and with much support from Yen country. No major incidents have occurred. But recently, I heard from Ji Rui and the Wei family master that many prodigies have emerged around the world in the past 2 years with astonishing cultivation talents. There are also many older generation experts whose cultivation stagnated due to the heaven and earth rules, now breaking through into entirely new realms. Especially in the past 6 months, several places have shown anomalies in heavenly tribulations. It should be some experts crossing the golden core tribulation. With the rise of heroes and emergence of powerful individuals, conflicts are naturally inevitable. If it were only such matters, it would be fine, merely conflicts among cultivators. But some cultivators, after breaking through to a new realm and becoming powerful, have also become arrogant. I've heard from Ji Rui that not long ago, two sect forces in Chao State fought over a spirit land. The result was that each side's foundation establishment realm's supreme elders fought recklessly in a city, causing severe casualties among the city's residents. Near Chuanzhou, two commanderies even went to war, dragging both countries' citizens into misery. Listening to the master recounting recent events in the world, Lu Qing finally realized how much the situation had changed during his 6 months of seclusion. Back when he traveled with little Yen for several months, there seemed to be undercurrents but nothing as dire as this. He thought for a while and said, "Master, let's leave these matters aside for now. The most important thing now is you're crossing the tribulation. We'll make decisions after you have crossed." The elder doctor nodded and said, "That would be good. You have just returned and can take this time to think carefully before making a decision." The two of them chatted a little longer, with Lu Qing mostly recounting some experiences from his recent travels. Sometimes little Yen would also chime in with her chatter. The elder doctor then learned how many events Lu Qing and they experienced during their travels. After Lu Qing roughly recounted the journey, he left the half-mountain small courtyard with little Yen. This was to allow his master to refine the 2 treasure beads, accumulate, and prepare for the upcoming tribulation. On the way home, they were seen by the villagers, which naturally caused quite a stir. After all, Lu Qing and little Yen had been away for nearly a year. During this time, many villagers, due to worry, often went to the half-mountain small courtyard to inquire from the elder doctor. Fortunately, the elder doctor repeatedly assured them that Lu Qing and little Yen were merely traveling and were safe. This reassurance alleviated much of their concern. Now that they finally saw Lu Qing and little Yen return, they were naturally eager to catch up and ask why they had been away for so long. The commotion even reached the Wei family's detached house. After explaining and returning home, some time had already passed. Shortly after sitting down, someone came to visit. The earlier stir in the village had reached the Wei family's detached house. Knowing that Lu Qing had returned, Wei Shanhai and Wei Xinghe came over. After reminiscing and exchanging greetings, they invited Lu Qing and company to dine at the detached house. Lu Qing, thinking that he had just returned and that the fire at home had been out for a long time, required some effort to cook, and considering that little Yen hadn't seen Mrs. Wei for a long time, he agreed. It was during the meal that Lu Qing learned more about the current state of the world from Wei Shanhai and others. He realized that the situation was even worse than he had anticipated. Many sects, newly emerged strong individuals who broke through realms, and even some commanderies. To expand their power and seize resources, conflicts were frequently erupting. Initially, everyone was quite restrained. But as conflicts escalated, and with more and more disciples dying, true fire began to erupt. Many forces became frenzied in their killing. In this process, it was the ordinary people who suffered the most, lacking the means of self-protection. With the changing world and the recovery of spiritual energy, many strong individuals broke through shackles and entered entirely new realms, wielding stronger powers than before. The number of innate, even foundation establishment realm strong individuals has greatly increased. Once these experts fight with full force, it spells disaster for ordinary people and even low-level martial artists. A casual wave of sword chi or sword light landing amidst a crowd could cause massive casualties. This makes the current populace, upon hearing any two forces are on the verge of conflict, flee in fear of being caught in the crossfire. But the roads of escape are not easy, and many tragic stories unfold during migrations. Speaking of which, Artsang State, even Yen Country, is the most peaceful place among the surrounding commanderies. Because of young Master Lu's presence, Yen Country dares not entertain any ill thoughts. This prompts many citizens from nearby commanderies to run to Yen Country. However, I received news a few days ago that neighboring Chou Country seems restless. It seems to have its sights on Yen Country, wanting to act against it, said Wei Xinghe. Chou Country, huh? Lu Qing pondered for a moment. The Yen family's patriarch, heavenly elder, has a decent cultivation, being a Foundation establishment cultivator. Is he not enough to deter Cho Country? I've heard that Cho Country has a national guardian general, who was already at the great success of innate realm before the world's changes. Since the spiritual energy recovery, his cultivation has advanced steadily. Not long ago, he also stepped into the Foundation establishment realm. Additionally, a clan elder from the Cho royal family also entered the Foundation establishment realm. With 2 Foundation establishment realm strong individuals in its grasp, Cho Country's ambition naturally grows. They now have thoughts of annexing surrounding commanderies to strengthen themselves, explained Wei Xinghe. I see, Lu Qing nodded. It seems that during my seclusion, the world's situation has indeed changed drastically. If this chaos continues, the common folk might indeed have no way to survive. Lu Qing's tone carried a hint of sigh. Yet, a decision was already forming in his heart. Chapter 693. Spiritual Pearl's Response. Elder Doctor Crossing the Tribulation. When Lu Qing returned home with little Yen, it was already evening. In the nighttime, a fiery red bead appeared in his hand. It was the Fire Spirit Pearl, obtained from the Cold Water Palace's treasure vault. In the Cold Water Palace secret realm, cold element power was dominant. This Fire Spirit Pearl was stored deep within the vault, making it hard to absorb power. Thus, when Lu Qing discovered it, its might was nearly depleted. So during the period of seclusion in the underground spirit vein of Long Hatred Mountain, Lu Qing placed the Fire Spirit Pearl there for nurturing. After half a year of nurturing, the Fire Spirit Pearl had absorbed enough spiritual charm to restore its former might. Now the time had come for formal refinement. Holding the Fire Spirit Pearl in his hand, Lu Qing focused his heart and spirit, allowing a thread of divine soul power to enter the Fire Spirit Pearl to recognize ownership and refine it. The process of refinement was very smooth, and Lu Qing easily left his divine soul mark within it. Immediately, the Fire Spirit Pearl transformed into a stream of light and flew to his forehead acupoint. Once within the forehead acupoint, the Fire Spirit Pearl immediately headed to the center of the acupoint space. It initially sought to compete with the Earth Spirit Pearl for the central position, but soon a wave of energy emanated from the Earth Spirit Pearl. Simultaneously, a talisman shadow emerged from the Earth Spirit Pearl. The Fire Spirit Pearl trembled briefly, ultimately retreating and reducing in size, orbiting the Earth Spirit Pearl in a certain mysterious trajectory. Lu Qing merely watched this scene quietly without interference. Such spiritual objects like the 5 elements spiritual pearls inherently possess spiritual nature. Although he had refined and recognized ownership, he wouldn't erase that spiritual nature. When it comes to such a hierarchy struggle, it's best to let them resolve it themselves. For now, it seems the Earth Spirit Pearl is superior. However, this is unsurprising, as the Earth Spirit Pearl has been with him the longest, has been nourished to become the strongest, and has the divine soul talisman firmly in place. The Earth element power is known for its solidity and stability, holding the fort of the acupoint space. It makes perfect sense to suppress the Fire Spirit Pearl a bit. With the submission of the Fire Spirit Pearl, it orbited the Earth Spirit Pearl several times along a mysterious trajectory. A trace of a mystical connection began to form between the 2 spiritual pearls. At the same time, Lu Qing, as the owner, felt a strange perception arise in his heart. He paused slightly, then immediately discerned it carefully. He then discovered that this perception stemmed from multiple directions and was quite distant. The aura of the source of the perception was very similar to that of the Earth Spirit Pearl and the Fire Spirit Pearl. So that's how it is. A realization suddenly dawned on Lu Qing's heart. These sensing auras are emitted by the other spiritual pearls. As long as 2 of the 5 elements pearls are gathered, the locations of the other spiritual pearls can be sensed. A hint of joy appeared on Lu Qing's face. Previously, he felt hopeless about collecting all 5 spiritual pearls. Unexpectedly, the 5 elements pearls had such a capability. As long as more than 2 are gathered, the locations of other spiritual pearls can be sensed. This way, collecting all 5 spiritual pearls will be much easier. Filled with joy, Lu Qing continued to sense the fluctuations of the other spiritual pearls, hoping to identify their specific locations. After a while, a sense of realization gradually formed in Lu Qing's heart. 3 spiritual pearls, one seems to be in the central state, another in the extreme west, and the last one is it in the east, in the ocean. With the approximate locations of the 3 spiritual pearls established, Lu Qing felt an odd sense of surprise. The ones in central state and the far west weren't too concerning. He was confident in retrieving them. However, the one in the eastern ocean wouldn't be so simple. He recalled sensing the aura of the ocean when he brought little Yen to the seaside more than 6 months ago. At that time, the vast ocean sparked a sliver of caution within him. It was apparent that in the depths of the sea, untouched by the human race, lay extraordinary things. But there's no rush. I'll collect the remaining 3 spiritual pearls after my master has survived the tribulation and dealt with the matters of the holy mountain. Lu Qing had a premonition that collecting all 5 spiritual pearls would be greatly beneficial to him. Previously, he didn't know the locations of the other spiritual pearls, but now that he knew, he had to gather them all. On the 2nd day after Lu Qing's return, nothing happened. The elder doctor remained in seclusion, refining the 2 treasure beads. On the 3rd day, Lin Jirue, who had been out traveling, rushed back. The first thing he did was visit Lu Qing and convey the request of the 3 Saint Masters, asking him to visit the Holy Mountain. However, Lu Qing didn't agree immediately. He said that with his master's tribulation imminent, he couldn't leave, and everything would wait until after the tribulation. Lin Jirue naturally had no objections to this. He understood the elder doctor's importance to Lu Qing, and with such a significant event as crossing the tribulation, Lu Qing surely had to be present as a protector. On the 4th day, in the morning, while Lu Qing was cultivating, a voice suddenly echoed in his mind. "Ah Qing, I am preparing to cross the tribulation." Lu Qing shivered slightly, immediately ceasing his practice and heading to the half-mountain small courtyard. "Master, did you say you're going to cross the tribulation?" "Yes, these past 2 days I've been refining the 2 treasure beads you gave me. Truly worthy of being treasure-level magical treasures. Once I refined and recognized ownership of them, was fully in control, the water and fire element power within the treasures washed over my divine soul and physical body. Making them more solid and refined, the process of water and fire power was especially enlightening for me." Chapter 694. Once I have completely absorbed those realizations and integrated them into my own water and fire Tao. Naturally, I felt the true opportunity for a breakthrough. At this moment, the elder doctor's face was rosy, and a sense of completeness and harmony surfaced from within him. Lu Qing could feel that Master had truly reached the realm of perfect foundation establishment. Moreover, his foundational base was extremely profound. Just from the intensity of his aura, he was not even weaker than that golden core realm expert Li Changhua whom he had met before. He could even feel that there was a wisp of tribulation chi hovering above Master's head, appearing and disappearing. It was truly at the edge of crossing the tribulation, just needing a mere thought to trigger the heavenly tribulation. "Master, when do you plan to cross the tribulation?" Lu Qing asked. "Let's do it now." "Now? All right then, better now than later." "Master, take this." In Lu Qing's hand appeared a translucent jade, with swirling misty energy inside. "Ah Qing, this is..." The elder doctor took the jade, sensing the boundless spiritual charm within, and his expression was stirred. "This is a middle-grade spirit stone, containing incredibly pure spiritual charm energy, which you can directly absorb and refine. When crossing the tribulation later, it can allow you to restore your spiritual power at the fastest speed. Normally, a low-grade spirit stone is enough for a powerful person at the golden core early stage to cultivate for quite some time. Even though the elder doctor's foundational base was deep, a low-grade spirit stone should have been sufficient for him to cross the tribulation. However, due to the many changes in the heavenly tribulation, Lu Qing, feeling uneasy, directly gave him a middle-grade spirit stone to ensure nothing could go wrong. Spirit stone. The elder doctor felt the spiritual charm within the spirit stone, understanding that it must be quite an extraordinary spiritual object. he did not refuse and put away the middle-grade spirit stone, feeling more assured about crossing the tribulation. An hour later, in the depths of the 10,000 great mountains, in front of the mountain peak that had been halved by the heavenly tribulation where Lu Qing had once crossed the tribulation. Master, are you sure you want to cross the tribulation here? Lu Qing asked again. From the moment he heard the location his master chose for crossing the tribulation, Lu Qing was already at a loss for words. Master, with so many peaks in the 10,000 great mountains, there's no need to choose such a damaged mountain peak for crossing the tribulation, is there? This place is fine. The heavenly tribulation's destructive power is immense. No need to choose another peak to ruin. And since you, Qing, once successfully crossed the tribulation here, it's just right for me to share in some of your good luck. The elder doctor chuckled. Lu Qing. All right, this definitely seems like Master's way of thinking. To avoid ruining another new peak, it doesn't matter crossing the tribulation on a heavily damaged peak. Grandpa Chun, you will definitely succeed in crossing the tribulation. Little Yen, beside him, clenched her fists to cheer for the elder doctor. Awoo! Even little Li attempted a rare cheer for the elder doctor. The little one could transmit its voice through the divine soul, but apart from Lu Qing and little Yen, it had never demonstrated this ability to others. The five elements, seeing little Li's rare call, was momentarily stunned and also pushed its head against the elder doctor's hand. All right, Grandpa Chun will surely succeed in crossing the tribulation. Seeing the three little ones cheering for him, the elder doctor let out a hearty laugh, rarely feeling a surge of boldness from his heart. A cloud of energy appeared beneath his feet, slowly lifting him to the peak where Lu Qing had once crossed the tribulation. Lu Qing, along with little Yen and the small ones, retreated a bit to another peak, preparing to act as a protector for his master. As soon as they landed, a mighty pressure appeared instantly with a loud rumble. In the sky, the weather suddenly changed, and a massive tribulation cloud vortex slowly appeared. Mr. Chun is about to begin crossing the tribulation. Several miles away from where the elder doctor was crossing the tribulation, Wei Shanhai, Wei Xinghe, Lin Jirui, Wei Zian, and Ma Gu, among others, stood on a peak, gazing at the tribulation cloud vortex ahead. The heavenly tribulation is of great significance, and without Lu Qing's ability, they naturally did not dare to get too close. I didn't expect Mr. Chun to proceed with the Golden Core tribulation so soon. His cultivation speed is truly swift. Wei Xinghe sighed. The first time he knew about the elder doctor was when his youngest son Wei Zian was causing trouble in the mountains, looking for birthday gifts for him. By accident, he fell off a cliff, severely injured, and was sent to the elder doctor for treatment. At that time, he heard Ahai say that the elder doctor was a strong martial artist in the internal organ realm, and his disciple was also a martial artist. Therefore, he remembered such a person. However, at that time, he didn't pay much attention and didn't think his family would have any further interactions with the master and disciple. Unexpectedly, when the heavenly blue sect attacked later, the Wei family faced the threat of extermination. In the most desperate moment, it was this master and disciple that saved them. From then on, a deep friendship was forged. The Wei family was essentially free from external conflicts under Lu Qing's protection. Now, in just a few short years, not only has Lu Qing become a Golden Core realm powerhouse who shakes the world, even the elder doctor is about to cross the tribulation to achieve the Golden Core. Yes, the speed of cultivation is really too fast. Wei Shanhai's face also showed a sigh. He still remembered when he first met the elder doctor. He had just entered the innate realm and was slightly inferior to him. Unexpectedly, only a few years later, the other party is already about to cross the tribulation to achieve the Golden Core. And he is still barely entering the innate perfection realm, far from the foundation establishment stage, and has yet to feel a hint of breakthrough opportunity. This is still because he has been living in Jili village for the past 2 years, cultivating here with its dense spiritual energy. If not, he now would probably be at most in the innate great success realm, even inferior to little Yen. Thinking about this, Wei Shanhai felt the gap even more. Lin Jirui, standing nearby, said nothing. It's just that the fluctuations in his heart and spirit were not less than those of Wei Shanhai and the others. Compared to the Wei family, he understood the elder doctor and his disciple the most. But now he was still shocked by the elder doctor's cultivation speed. Not to mention Lu Qing, the first tribulation crosser after the spiritual energy recovery, who could even cause a heavenly tribulation upon stepping into the innate realm. Such a peerless genius is destined to shine brilliantly. So his rapid advancement into the golden core realm, though incredible, is still understandable. But the elder doctor, before the spiritual energy recovery, he was merely a wandering doctor with some cultivation, and not known throughout the world, not even well known in Song State. Even after the spiritual energy recovery, he remained uncompetitive, always displaying a peaceful and kind demeanor. It was only in Central State that he showed a bit of his sharpness. After returning from Central State, he retracted all his sharpness, quietly cultivating in Jili village, occasionally going out to treat the surrounding villagers. He rarely showed the methods of his immortal cultivation. Unexpectedly, without any fanfare, he had reached the realm where he could trigger a heavenly tribulation, soon achieving the golden core. Moreover, looking at the huge tribulation cloud vortex ahead and the oppressive heavenly might that stifles the heart, Lin Jirue knew that the elder doctor's heavenly tribulation must be extraordinary, not just an ordinary golden core heavenly tribulation. I wonder what color the tribulation cloud my master triggers will be? Staring at the tribulation cloud vortex in the sky, Lu Qing was also guessing. His master's foundation is profoundly accumulated. The cultivation of the water and fire Tao is also incredibly remarkable. The triggered tribulation cloud will definitely not be the most ordinary gray cloud. It's just uncertain if it will eventually be a red or golden tribulation cloud. The tribulation cloud continued to brew, slowly converging over time. And below the tribulation cloud vortex, the elder doctor was continuously adjusting his mind and body, keeping them in the best state. Is this the power of the heavenly tribulation? The elder doctor felt the heavy heavens might from above the sky and pondered silently. He once observed Lu Qing crossing the tribulation in Central State. At that time, he already felt the horror of the heavenly tribulation. But now, facing the heavenly might directly during his own tribulation crossing, he finally understood. The heavenly might felt during observation is far less than a tenth of what the tribulation crosser experiences. Ah Ching said the golden core tribulation is divided into several levels. I wonder what my heavenly tribulation will look like. The elder doctor calmly watched the tribulation cloud vortex in the sky, with tranquility in his gaze. Finally, he saw the tribulation cloud formally taking shape with flickering lightning as it continuously converged and brewed. Its color revealed a faint layer of gold. Chapter 695. Golden Cloud Heavenly Tribulation. Water and Fire Tao. Golden Tribulation Cloud? Indeed, Master's accumulation is thick enough. As Lu Qing saw the color of the tribulation clouds in the sky, a smile appeared on his face. According to records, the tribulation cloud of the golden core tribulation generally comes in 3 colors: gray, red, gold. The power of the tribulation cloud increases sequentially, with the golden tribulation cloud being the most powerful. Based on the cultivation techniques obtained from the 2 gray-robed men and the Taoist chapter he acquired from the heavenly tribulation, Lu Qing inferred that once these 3-colored clouds are successfully transcended, the corresponding condensations should be different grades of magic power golden cores. In other words, if Master successfully crosses the tribulation of the golden clouds, the core formed may very well be a top-grade golden core. And a top-grade golden core signifies a future potential to step into the primordial spirit realm. Young Master, your master is truly formidable. He's about to cross the golden cloud heavenly tribulation. Inside the leaving fire tripod, Yan's tone was filled with awe. It's important to know that even at the peak of the ancient immortal cultivation era, the golden cloud heavenly tribulation was extremely rare. Everyone who could trigger such tribulation clouds was an unparalleled genius, overshadowing many talents of the era. For instance, in the Li Hua sect's over 10,000 years of history, only 2 or 3 such successors have emerged. No one expected Lu Qing's master, who seemed unremarkable. Even his cultivation had always been quiet, barely revealing his sharp edges. Yet, at the crossing of the tribulation, he directly triggered the appearance of golden tribulation clouds. Golden tribulation cloud? The elder doctor looked at the color of the tribulation clouds, yet his mood remained calm. According to Ah Ching, the golden tribulation cloud is the strongest tribulation cloud of the golden core tribulation. It seems we must give it our all. As for Wei Shanhai and others further away, they had no idea what the color of the tribulation cloud represented. They only sensed that with the appearance of the golden tribulation cloud, the celestial power of the heavens became even heavier, causing them extreme discomfort, forcing them back several miles. Only then could they barely steady themselves with expressions of shock. Being so far away, we feel such discomfort. Imagine the pressure Mr. Chan is under right beneath the heavenly tribulation. At this time, everyone finally understood why the Golden Core realm was so powerful. To achieve such an unparalleled realm, one must pass through such a terrifying heavenly tribulation. How could it possibly not be powerful? Brother, can Grandpa Chun cross the heavenly tribulation? Little Yen felt the pressure emanating from the sky, her face pale as she asked. Beside her, little Li and 5 elements also trembled slightly. Being at the perfect foundation establishment, they were more sensitive to the aura of the heavenly tribulation. Feeling the power of the heavenly tribulation so closely made them shudder in heart and spirit. Don't worry, Master's foundation is deep, and his realm is profound. It should be fine. Instead, you should focus on sensing the changes and aura of this heavenly tribulation. It will be very beneficial for your future tribulation crossing. Lu Qing smiled slightly. With a wave of his hand, a gentle aura appeared, enveloping the 3, shielding them from most of the heavenly tribulation's pressure. The reason why he brought the 3 little ones to observe the Master's tribulation crossing closely was to let them experience the aura of the heavenly tribulation ahead of time, to prepare psychologically for future crossings. Especially little Li and 5 elements who are already at the perfect foundation establishment realm. Their tribulation crossing is not far off. If they could gain some insights from the Master's tribulation crossing, it would make their future crossings easier. Upon hearing Lu Qing's words, the 3 little ones turned their heads to continue gazing at the tribulation cloud, striving to overcome the fear in their hearts. Rumble. Just as Lu Qing took the opportunity to instruct the 3 little ones, the golden hue of the tribulation cloud in the sky grew stronger. Finally, it reached a limit and lightning began to flash. The first Dao tribulation thunder is about to fall. I wonder how many Dao tribulation thunders Master will face this time. Lu Qing looked at the flashing golden lightning, silently thinking. Even tribulation clouds of the same level differ in power. The difference is expressed in the density of the tributary cloud's color and the number of Dao tribulation thunders that descend. Judging by the density of the golden color in Master's tribulation cloud, the tribulation thunders that descend will be at least 6 or more. Lu Qing thought in his heart, intending to activate his superpower to observe. But in the next moment, amidst a booming sound that resounded through the heavens and earth, that long-accumulated lightning fell suddenly, striking the elder doctor directly beneath the tribulation cloud vortex. Boom! The thick golden Dao tribulation thunder directly hit the elder doctor. Immediately, countless lightning flooded the area, further ravaging the already damaged mountain peak. And this Dao tribulation thunder tugged at everyone's heart. The 3 little ones stared intently at the pervasive lightning for a long time, until the light faded away. Seeing the elder doctor still sitting cross-legged on the ground, with only some slight charring on his body, and no major injuries. Only then did they breathe a sigh of relief. Seeing the Master's aura weak but otherwise unharmed, Lu Qing also smiled. He knew, given Master's accumulation, the first Dao tribulation thunder would certainly not trouble him. No, he should say the first 3 Dao tribulation thunders should pose no threat to him. Based on his tribulation experience, the power of the descending Dao tribulation thunders increases with each one. Every 3 Tao tribulation thunders, the power will significantly escalate. So, with Master's accumulation, the real threat only starts from the 4th Tao tribulation thunder. Chapter 696. As Lu Qing had predicted, the first 3 tribulation thunders, although extremely powerful, would likely turn an ordinary foundation establishment realm cultivator to ashes with just a scratch. But they did not inflict much harm on the elder doctor. He did not even need to use the spirit stones provided by Lu Qing. By relying solely on his own mana and the vitality chi bestowed by heaven and earth between each tribulation thunder, he could completely heal his injuries. It wasn't until the 4th tribulation thunder struck that the elder doctor's expression began to change. The moment his body was hit by the tribulation thunder, he felt an incredibly intense pain surging through him. In just an instant, he was severely injured, his muscles and bones broken, and his physical body nearly melted. Instantly, the elder doctor dared not delay. Activating his cultivation technique, and red and white spiritual power emerged from him. Intermingling and rotating with each other, not only did they eliminate the tribulation thunders from his body, but they also quickly repaired his heavily injured physical body. Is this the water and fire Tao mastered by Master? Lu Qing curiously observed the red and white spiritual power swirling around his master. He felt that although these 2 spiritual powers were inherently opposite, they were able to harmoniously and perfectly blend together in a mysterious way. This allowed the 2 conflicting forces to complement and promote each other instead. Indeed, Master has paved a path, and this water and fire Tao, cultivated to a profound level, might not be much inferior to my 5 elements Tao. Lu Qing marveled at the water and fire Tao will emanating from his master. From this intent, he could see that his master had truly forged his own path. As long as he continued down this path, his achievements would surely be significant. The Golden Core Realm would only be the starting point, and the Primordial Spirit Realm would be within reach. Seeing his master's techniques, Lu Qing's heart relaxed a lot. With Master's profound Tao will, the crossing of this tribulation should be almost certain. The young Master's master is a monster too. Within the leaving fire tripod, Yen couldn't help but exclaim as it sensed the water and fire Tao will emerging from the elder doctor. The water element and fire element have always been opposing forces. Yet this fellow forcibly brought them together to comprehend the principles of mutual creation and mutual destruction, fusion and symbiosis. Instead of hindering, the water and fire power accelerated his cultivation speed significantly. Most crucially, the elder doctor comprehended this principle while still in the innate realm. Couldn't imagine the terrifying level of comprehension required to achieve this. Initially, Yen felt that Lu Qing was already a devil, but now it seemed his master was not much inferior. After showcasing the water and fire Tao will, the elder doctor's tribulation crossing became easier. Though the 5th and 6th tribulation thunders still injured him, they were not beyond his ability to handle. The 6th tribulation thunder has passed. It seems Master's heavenly tribulation might just be the strongest golden tribulation. 6 tribulation thunders passed, and seeing the tribulation cloud in the sky still lingering, Lu Qing immediately understood. Is there still a 7th tribulation thunder? Ah Qing said there could be up to 9 tribulation thunders, and I wonder how far I will ultimately get. The elder doctor looked at the tribulation cloud vortex still flickering with lightning and thought silently. His heart and spirit were also fully on guard. The 4th tribulation thunder had caught him off guard, nearly overwhelming him. According to Ah Qing, the tribulation thunders would increase drastically in power every 3 stages. The 7th tribulation thunder might bring a qualitative change. As if sensing the elder doctor's thoughts, the tribulation cloud vortex in the sky suddenly grew larger. Conversely, the golden tribulation cloud in the center suddenly shrank. The golden hue became more intense. A more brilliant golden lightning started to converge. At the same time, the already suffocating heavenly might doubled in pressure, forcing Wei Shanhai and others in the distance to retreat several miles further. The heavenly tribulation's power is still increasing? The faces of Wei Shanhai and others were filled with horror. They were already over 20 miles from the elder doctor's tribulation spot. Yet they were still almost overwhelmed by the terrifying heavenly might, their heart and spirit trembling. It was unimaginable what kind of pressure the elder doctor, undergoing tribulation, was facing. This power, it seems I can't hold back any longer. Feeling the terrifying momentum from the sky, the elder doctor's expression also changed. He understood that the upcoming time required his full effort. Otherwise, there was no guarantee he could survive this lightning tribulation. At once, with a thought, a radiance flickered, and the next moment, he wore a piece of treasure armor bestowed to him by Lu Qing after slaying that countryside youth. Moreover, a mysterious will emanated from the elder doctor, rapidly expanding and enveloping the surrounding 100 meters. 2 illusory shadows of red and white treasure beads also appeared behind him, guarding him firmly. Master is about to give it his all. Seeing the elder doctor's preparation, Lu Qing immediately understood. Master was not only using his magical treasure but also unleashing his domain. Clearly, he intended to go all out to meet the next tribulation thunder. Rumble. Just as the elder doctor brought all means to bear, the 7th tribulation thunder at the vortex center finally brewed. Amidst deafening thunder, it came crashing down. The speed of lightning, naturally, needs no description. In an instant, the bulky tribulation thunder struck the elder doctor. In a flash, the treasure armor on his body was torn apart by the thunder's immense power, becoming tattered and ragged. An armor at the treasure level was nearly rendered useless. However, the elder doctor could not care about such things. As the tribulation thunder descended, his heart and spirit surged. The force of the domain enveloping him started to fluctuate and tremble, constantly guiding the tribulation thunder force on him downward, dispersing it into the earth. The illusion of treasure beads behind him tightly protected his physical body. The robust power of the spiritual artifact repeatedly resisted the golden lightning, preventing them from utterly destroying the elder doctor's physical body. Otherwise, given the terror of this golden tribulation thunder, if it completely invaded his body, it would likely destroy his physical body in an instant with no chance for recovery. Finally, under the full deployment of the elder doctor's techniques, he managed to take the 7th tribulation thunder. The lightning dispersed, revealing the elder doctor's figure. However, at this moment he appeared quite miserable. The treasure armor on him was completely tattered, evidently beyond further use. His physical body was charred black, filled with terrifying holes. Some wounds even pierced through from front to back, appearing extremely dreadful. Grandpa Chun. Seeing the elder doctor's appearance, little Yen couldn't help but cry out, "Master!" Witnessing the elder doctor's state, Lu Qing's face changed dramatically. The 7th golden tribulation thunder turned out to be devastating. More powerful than half of the progressed 5 elements tribulation he faced before. Only its strangeness was far inferior. The elder doctor waved his hand, indicating he was all right. He had not wanted to use such treasure lightly, but to fend off the 7th tribulation thunder, most of his spiritual power was depleted. If he did not recover quickly, he might not make it through the next tribulation thunder. Yes, after the 7th tribulation thunder had struck, the tribulation cloud in the sky had not yet dissipated. It was obvious that the elder doctor's heavenly tribulation was still not over. It remained to have the 8th tribulation thunder. Master's heavenly tribulation is so strong. Is it because of his comprehension of the water and fire Tao? Lu Qing's expression turned serious. Chapter 697. Sword/'s Heavenly Tribulation. The Elder Doctor's Decision. The Marvelous Use of Merit Golden Light. Lu Qing did not expect that Master's heavenly tribulation would be so powerful. The 7th tribulation thunder already had several times the power of the initial tribulation thunders from his own 5 elements heavenly tribulation. Clearly, when he first observed, the power of the heavenly tribulation was not so terrifying. It seems like the heavenly tribulation is not fixed. It changes according to the situation of the tribulation crossing. Lu Qing recalled how during his own tribulation crossing, He was bold and arrogant, openly provoking the heavenly might, which directly caused the heavenly tribulation to rage. Originally, according to the power of the tribulation cloud invoked by Master at first, along with the richness of the golden color of the tribulation cloud, his heavenly tribulation should have consisted of at most 6 tribulation thunders. But when he exhibited the water and fire Tao intent, the situation changed. The difficulty of the heavenly tribulation also sharply increased. Indeed, as the most powerful trial and tempering from the heavens for cultivators, the heavenly tribulation is not rigid but changes constantly. Within Lu Qing's heart, a new understanding arose, deepening his grasp on the concept of heavenly tribulation. However, with this development, it may be difficult for Master to overcome the heavenly tribulation. Lu Qing appeared solemn. He could naturally see that Master had already almost exhausted all his strength to barely overcome the 7th tribulation thunder. The next, even more powerful 8th tribulation thunder would be tougher to deal with. Lu Qing's body emitted an indistinct aura. No matter what, he could not simply watch his master perish under the heavenly tribulation. If Master couldn't withstand it, it might end his path of cultivation, and Lu Qing would have to intervene. On the other side, as the tribulation cloud brewed the 8th tribulation thunder, the elder doctor was fully focused on drawing the spiritual charm from the middle-grade spirit stone. The spirit stone Qing provided is truly a treasure, almost requiring no refinement to convert it into one's own spiritual power. Truly miraculous. Feeling his spiritual power rapidly recovering within, the elder doctor was amazed. Originally, he was worried that the upcoming tribulation crossing would be perilous. But now he had gained some confidence. However, this time, the elder doctor realized that if he continued passively receiving the tribulation thunder, he might really not pass this heavenly tribulation. The strategy must change. Feeling most of his spiritual power restored, the elder doctor's eyes showed determination. His mind was set. Suddenly, a treasure sword appeared in his hand. The domain originally covering a 100-meter radius around him rapidly shrank and concentrated before him, continuously compressing. Eventually, it transformed into an exceedingly sharp sword light, attached to the treasure sword. Moreover, the water and fire spiritual power, the intent, the heart and spirit within the elder doctor were all infused into this sword light. Unintentionally, even a layer of golden light from his body surged into it, making the sword light forged from the domain even more acute, vaguely causing even the surrounding space to warp and fluctuate. It was imaginable how terrifying this sword was. Master is going to... Lu Qing was surprised witnessing this scene. Boom! Just as Lu Qing's thoughts arose, he heard a thunderclap from the sky. Immediately, the long-brewing 8th tribulation thunder slammed down. At the same time, the elder doctor swung his sword, wielding all his strength. The sword light was extremely fast, intercepting the tribulation thunder in midair before it completely descended. Then, under everyone's gaze, this sword light, infused with all the elder doctor's will and power, unexpectedly sliced the tribulation thunder in half. Moreover, the sword light's momentum remained undiminished, piercing upwards into the azure darkness, cleaving into the golden tribulation cloud, causing the entire tribulation cloud vortex to stall. Boom! The tribulation thunder was split by the elder doctor's sword but did not vanish. Instead, it divided into 2 halves but still struck down. Despite consuming a substantial amount of power and being cut in half, it did not directly hit the elder doctor but instead landed beside him. The tribulation thunder struck the ground, lightning spreading, enveloping the elder doctor within. But its power was already within his capacity to endure. Master is so fierce. Witnessing this, Lu Qing was taken aback. The sword strike from Master was astonishingly powerful, even able to cleave the tribulation thunder. He estimated that even a genuine Golden Core realm cultivator, below the 2nd turn, without special means, would hesitate before Master's sword strike if caught off guard. At least, if it were Li Changhua, he definitely couldn't withstand Master's sword light. Monster! Monster! From within the leaving fire tripod, Yen, witnessing this, almost popped its eyes. It never expected Lu Qing's master, usually always smiling and courteous to everyone. Even when treating mundane people's illnesses, he never refused anyone, completely dedicating himself to healing. When crossing a tribulation, to be so fierce, without a word, daring to unsheath his sword and angrily slashing the heavenly tribulation. One should know, that's the heavenly tribulation, the most feared existence for countless cultivators. During the ancient immortal cultivation era, even the most extraordinary prodigies faced heavenly tribulations with trembling fear, not daring to show any disrespect. The fear was that angering the will of the heavens during a tribulation crossing would lead to an increase in heavenly tribulation power, ultimately failing to pass. Now, this person dared to directly slice the heavenly tribulation with a sword, exhibiting no fear. This reminded Yen that previously, when Lu Qing was crossing his golden core tribulation, he openly provoked the heavenly tribulation, mocking its lacking power. Chapter 698. Now it seems these two truly are teacher and student, both so daring. That sword light, was it slashed by Mr. Chen? In the distance, Wei Shanhai and the others were also in a daze. From such a distance, they couldn't see the elder doctor's figure. But the enormous sword light that just flew out, cutting through the tribulation thunder, slicing into the tribulation cloud, was something they saw clearly. The one crossing the tribulation now is Mr. Chen. Who else could it be? Mr. Chen uses a sword, so it should be him. A sword slashing through a heavenly tribulation. Has Mr. Chen's sword Dao reached such a profound level that even tribulation thunder can be cut apart? Wei Shanhai and the others didn't understand the taboos involved in crossing a tribulation. But it didn't prevent them from feeling utterly shocked by the sword that the elder doctor slashed out. On the battered mountain peak, thunder light still pervaded. However, Lu Qing could feel that within the thunder light, although his master's aura had weakened, he could still hold on, which put him at ease. His gaze was more focused on the tribulation cloud vortex in the sky, because after the 8th tribulation thunder descended, the tribulation cloud vortex still hadn't dissipated, and lightning continued to flicker. Could it be there's a 9th tribulation thunder? Lu Qing's heart was heavy. He could see that the sword just now was already his master's strongest strike. If there were a 9th tribulation thunder, he would definitely be unable to deal with it. No, that's not right. Suddenly, Lu Qing's eyes focused, staring at the tribulation cloud vortex. He discovered that within the tribulation cloud vortex, something seemed to be amiss. He saw that within the golden tribulation cloud, there was lightning trying to gather, but there seemed to be another force subtly preventing it. And that force was also a golden light, but its color was slightly different from the golden lightning. If not carefully recognized, it would be hard to notice at a glance. That power is Merit Golden Light. Lu Qing identified the golden light at once. It was the power of Merit Golden Light. Earlier, his master had poured all his strength into that one sword, unintentionally slashing out with it. The Merit Golden Light accumulated over many years, striking it into the tribulation cloud vortex. Now it seemed that the power of Merit Golden Light hadn't immediately dissipated, but was instead preventing the tribulation cloud from continuing to gather lightning. The light of merit has such ability? Lu Qing stared intently at the sky, only to see the tribulation cloud vortex center, where the golden tribulation cloud was constantly churning, trying to gather lightning. But it never succeeded, and in the end, it began to slowly dissipate instead. Finally, after the tribulation cloud completely dissipated, a streak of light flew out from the huge vortex center, falling on the elder doctor, and the entire tribulation cloud vortex began to gradually disappear. Soon, the sky returned to its original state, becoming calm and clear, leaving Lu Qing momentarily stunned. The tribulation cloud dissipated. Did Master successfully pass the heavenly tribulation? After a moment, Lu Qing snapped back to himself, smiling freely. I never thought the power of merit would have the ability to dissolve a heavenly tribulation. This must be the greatest reward of Master's years of doing good and accumulating virtue. He felt emotional in his heart. Based on the previous movement of the tribulation cloud, his master clearly should have faced a ninth tribulation thunder. However, in that sword earlier, his master had poured all his strength, along with the merit light accumulated over most of his life. Unexpectedly, that merit light had such a magical ability to dissolve the heavenly tribulation, allowing the final tribulation thunder not to fall, making his master's turbulent tribulation crossing a success. Nonetheless, this was also a matter of sowing good causes and reaping good results. If it weren't for his master's medical benevolence throughout his life, saving lives and treating people, he wouldn't have been able to accumulate such a dense merit light. Naturally, he wouldn't have been able to dissolve this last tribulation thunder. So all of this was still a result of his master's own kind thoughts and deeds, which accumulated such good outcomes. The power of merit has the ability to dissolve heavenly tribulations? In the leaving fire tripod, Yen was equally stunned. Earlier, it also believed that the elder doctor likely couldn't pass the last tribulation thunder. It was even prepared to protect the elder doctor together with Lu Qing from under the heavenly tribulation. But unexpectedly, the final development was so surprising. That final tribulation thunder was dissolved by the power of merit released by the elder doctor. Such a thing it had never heard of before. Even the classics of the Li Hua sect never recorded such an event, and in the ancient immortal cultivation era, it had never heard of anyone achieving such a thing. No, that's not right. Yen suddenly had a revelation, recalling a possibility. Maybe those bald monks of the suspended mountain know this secret. Suddenly he remembered, if there was any sect in the ancient immortal cultivation era that understood the power of merit, it would certainly be the suspended mountain. In fact, during the ancient immortal cultivation era, the suspended mountain lineage was indeed very keen on the power of merit. Any accomplished monk often tried to travel and accumulate merit. At that time, the cultivation world believed that the reason Suspended Mountain did this was due to their doctrine and cultivation technique. Moreover, people with the power of merit did indeed have a smoother path in cultivation, and were more favored by fortune. So many righteous sects also liked to eliminate demons and perform virtuous deeds, though not as passionately as Suspended Mountain pursued it. Now, it seems things weren't so simple. Suspended Mountain likely discovered that merit light had the ability to weaken and dissolve heavenly tribulations and thus pursued it so fervently. Thinking like this, Yen immediately recalled some extraordinary events from the ancient immortal cultivation era. For example, Suspended Mountain, as one of the top sects in the ancient immortal cultivation era. One characteristic was that it had particularly many Golden Core Realm members compared to other sects, often by a large proportion. Initially, everyone thought it was because the cultivation method of Suspended Mountain was special, increasing the chances of disciples within the sect successfully crossing tribulations. Now it seems it might be because they had mastered the secret of merit light. It's just a pity. The so-called secret land of Suspended Mountain in this era doesn't seem to have inherited the ancestral rules. Yen immediately shared its speculation with Lu Qing. Perhaps, it's not necessarily that the ancestral rules weren't passed down, Lu Qing said. I heard from Ji Rui that over 10,000 years ago, Suspended Mountain had a good reputation. At that time, Suspended Mountain's reputation was still very good. Over time, perhaps it became known that the greatest use of merit light was in dissolving heavenly tribulations. But over millennia, the world has been in a state of spiritual energy depletion. The whole world could only cultivate to the realm of innate perfection. Naturally, the greatest value of merit light, capable of dissolving heavenly tribulations, is lost. Moreover, it's not so easy to condense merit light. Such perseverance and good intentions aren't attributes that everyone has. It stands to reason that a lack of continued virtuous actions will naturally lead to an inability to dissolve the final tribulation thunder. So all of this is the result of the good deeds that Master has accumulated through his own benevolent actions and thoughts, resulting in such good outcomes. The power of merit has the ability to dissolve a heavenly tribulation? In the leaving fire tripod, Yen was also dumbfounded. Just earlier, even it thought that the elder doctor might not be able to pass the last tribulation thunder. It was even prepared to save the elder doctor from the heavenly tribulation together with Lu Qing. But who could have thought that the course of events would turn out so unexpectedly? The final tribulation thunder was actually dissolved by the power of merit that the elder doctor had slashed out. This kind of thing it had never heard about before. None of the records in the Li Huasek's texts had ever mentioned such a thing, even during the ancient immortal cultivation era. No, this can't be true. Yan quickly told Lu Qing about its speculation. It may very well be that they did not adhere to the ancestral rules, Lu Qing said. I heard from Ji Rui that over 10,000 years ago, the reputation of Suspended Mountain was still very good. But over the millennia, the world has been in a state of spiritual energy depletion. The whole world could only cultivate to the realm of innate perfection. Naturally, the biggest usefulness of merit light, being able to dissolve the heavenly tribulation, was lost as well. Moreover, the devotion and good intentions needed to condense merit light aren't possessed by everyone. It turns out that the actions of good and the cultivation methods of Suspended Mountain were indeed special, and this allowed the disciples within the sect to have a much higher chance of successfully crossing tribulations. Now, thinking back, it's likely because they had mastered the secret of merit light. It's just a pity. This era's so-called secret land of Suspended Mountain seems to have lost the ancestral principles. Yan immediately shared its speculation with Lu Qing. It may not be that they haven't adhered to their ancestral principles. Lu Qing said, I heard from Ji Rui that over 10,000 years ago, Suspended Mountain still had a very good reputation. Everyone thought at the time that Suspended Mountain did what they did because of their doctrine and cultivation technique reasons. Moreover, people with the power of merit indeed found their cultivation journey smoother and more easily blessed by fortune. So, many righteous sects also like to slay demons and outlaws, doing good and accumulating virtue. It seems that the merit light's biggest use is to dissolve heavenly tribulations. Over the thousands of years when the world had been in a state of innate perfection due to spiritual energy depletion. If the most significant ability of the merit light is gone. And besides, it's not so easy to condense merit light. Such perseverance and good intentions aren't attributes that everyone is endowed with. It's evident that all these achievements are the results of the Master's own good thoughts and deeds that accumulated over time. Who would have expected that the power of merit has the ability to dissolve a heavenly tribulation? Chapter 699. Top-grade golden core, heading to Central State. On the broken mountain peak, after yet another round of heavenly tribulation, it became even more shattered. Even the mountain body was shaved down another layer. And on this broken peak, the elder doctor was sitting cross-legged, his expression solemn. The wounds left from crossing the tribulation had disappeared, completely healed. Even his appearance reverted to the middle-aged look he had when he first entered the innate realm. A mysterious and formidable aura emerged from him and began to grow stronger. Lu Qing, who had experience with crossing the tribulation, naturally saw that Master was condensing his magic power golden core, transforming his mana. After a long while, suddenly, the elder doctor's body shook, and an aura of perfection, with a hint of immortal, emerged from him. At this time, in Lu Qing's eyes, who had activated his superpower, the information strip floating over Master's body also changed. Chen Songqing. Medical skills are exquisite, kind-hearted, revered by people, a compassionate elder physician. Cultivation. Top-grade golden core, newly entered golden core realm. Comprehended the path of merging water and fire, condensed water and fire golden core, mastered the power of water and fire. Exceptional understanding, comprehended and controls a powerful sword Dao domain, unmatched in attack. Possesses heavenly gifted divine power, with great potential. Indeed, Master has condensed a top-grade golden core this time. Seeing the changing information on Master's body, Lu Qing thought to himself, but he was not surprised. Master's tribulation cloud was a golden tribulation cloud, and it was also the strongest Nine Thunder heavenly tribulation. If he couldn't condense a top-grade golden core under these conditions, it would be unreasonable. Instead, there was one piece of information that surprised him a bit. Master actually possesses a divine power. Was it that stream of light from earlier? Lu Qing suddenly recalled that before the heavenly tribulation vortex dissipated, a stream of light had flown out and landed on Master. He guessed that must have been the heavenly gifted divine power, just like the 2 divine abilities he obtained when he crossed the tribulation in Central State. I wonder what kind of divine power Master has obtained. The power of heavenly gifted divine power was something Lu Qing deeply experienced. Even a small divine power was much more formidable than most spells, possessing the immense power to fight against stronger levels. Just like his mistaken, once the power of divine skill was unleashed, even a gray-robed man of a higher realm than him found it hard to resist, submerging in the illusion realm. He figured the heavenly gifted divine power that Master obtained must also be quite remarkable in strength. While Lu Qing pondered, the elder doctor, having completed his breakthrough, also opened his eyes. First, there was a divine light flashing in his eyes, but it quickly subsided, becoming plain and ordinary. Meanwhile, his appearance returned to his previous elderly look. Lu Qing, along with little Yen and others, slowly flew towards the broken mountain peak. Congratulations to Master for successfully crossing the tribulation and condensing the golden core, Lu Qing said with a smile. Congratulations, Grandpa-chan. Little Yen also congratulated sweetly. Awu! Roar! Little Li and 5 elements also expressed their congratulations to the elder doctor in their own way. Both of their expressions also became much more respectful. After all, the terrifying power of the previous heavenly tribulation, which they had experienced up close, left a profound impression. The elder doctor managed to withstand such a terrifying tribulation, successfully crossing into the golden core realm. Spiritual beasts have a natural instinct to revere the strong, so little Li and 5 elements involuntarily became much more respectful of the elder doctor. Haha! I have to thank Ah Qing for giving me the magical treasure and spirit stones. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have been able to cross this tribulation. It's a pity, though, that the treasure armor you gave me was damaged by the tribulation thunder. The elder doctor looked at the broken treasure armor lying nearby, feeling a bit distressed. Under the ravage of so much tribulation thunder, this treasure armor was completely ruined, with its spiritual nature lost, turning into an ordinary object. If it could bear so much of the tribulation thunder for Master, then the treasure armor had already fulfilled its mission, so it's no big deal that it's damaged. If I can find suitable materials in the future, I will make a new treasure armor for Master. Lu Qing didn't feel regret. Instead, he comforted his master. Let's talk about that later. The elder doctor stored the broken treasure armor into his storage bag. Even though the treasure armor couldn't be used anymore, it was one of the contributors to his successful tribulation crossing, and he didn't want to discard it just like that. Master, did you gain any insights from this tribulation crossing? Lu Qing asked. Oh, right, the elder doctor exclaimed. Ah Qing, do you know why the final tribulation thunder didn't descend? Recalling the previous tribulation crossing, the elder doctor still felt lingering fear. He had never expected that this tribulation crossing would be so arduous. At the end, he even thought he was going to fail. Fortunately, for some unknown reason, the last tribulation thunder didn't descend, allowing him to successfully cross the tribulation. However, he was too busy healing his injuries at the time to notice what exactly caused the heavenly tribulation to dissipate. Disciple guesses that it might be because of the good deeds and virtues you've accumulated over the years, Master, which shielded you from the last tribulation thunder. Lu Qing shared his speculation. After hearing this, the elder doctor was taken aback. He never would have thought that the reason the last tribulation thunder didn't descend was because of this. This is really something. After a while, the elder doctor came back to his senses, but for a moment, he didn't know what to say. That is why I say, this successful tribulation crossing is the result of the good karma you've accumulated, Master. Lu Qing said with a smile. The elder doctor shook his head, remaining silent. Chapter 700, Top Grade Golden Core, Heading to Central State. All these years, The reason he has constantly practiced medicine to save people was not for accumulating merit. It was simply because he could not bear to see those who were suffering from illness in pain and helplessness, and wanted to help them alleviate their pain. The reason he spared no expense in using precious herbs to treat Lu Qing back then was the same. Moreover, every time a patient was cured, his heart would be greatly satisfied and he would feel genuinely happy. This is also the reason he has persisted in studying medical skill and saving people for so many years. He hasn't thought too much about anything else. Yet, unexpectedly, it was because of this that he managed to cross the Golden Core tribulation. Mr. Chan. At that moment, a voice called out. Wei Shanhai and Lin Jirue were seen, demonstrating their movement technique, swiftly advancing at the treetops of the forest, quickly arriving at the mountain peak where Lu Qing and the others were. Congratulations, Mr. Chan, on successfully crossing the tribulation and entering the Golden Core True Man realm. As soon as they arrived in front of the elder doctor, everyone congratulated him in unison, especially Wei Shanhai and a few others, who were visibly delighted. Now their Wei family is considered to be affiliated with the Jili village lineage. The elder doctor achieving the Golden Core strengthens Jili village significantly, which is immensely beneficial for their Wei family. Haha! Thanks to the many treasures Qing gave me in advance, this old man, luckily managed to cross the tribulation. Faced with everyone's congratulations, the elder doctor laughed heartily. To overcome such a formidable heavenly tribulation, Mr. Chen's cultivation is unfathomable, indeed not something that can be merely described as luck. At this moment, everyone also saw the surroundings of the mountain peak, and couldn't help but marvel internally. Earlier, when observing from afar, they had already sensed the terror of the heavenly tribulation. Now seeing the immense mountain peak beneath, ravaged into disarray by the tribulation thunder, they truly realized how terrifying the tribulation thunder was. It's hard to imagine how the elder doctor managed to endure such a terrifying tribulation thunder and successfully cross it. Alright, now that Master has successfully crossed the tribulation, let's go back and discuss further. After chatting happily for a while, Lu Qing summoned a golden small boat, enlarged it, and invited everyone aboard. Wei Shanhai and the others first curiously examined the golden flying boat, then promptly boarded it. In the next moment, Lu Qing's mind activated, and the flying boat transformed into a golden streak of light, soaring into the sky, headed towards Jili village. In almost just a matter of seconds, they returned to Jili village, landing before the half-mountain small courtyard. Wei Shanhai and the others disembarked from the boat, looking at the familiar scenery around them, momentarily dazed. In such a short time, had they already returned from the depths of the 10,000 great mountains to Jili village? Everyone turned to look at Lu Qing, who casually stored away the golden flying boat, with eyes full of shock. Experiencing flight for the first time, they clearly felt what true immortal Tao methods meant. In the following period, Wei Shanhai and the others lingered for quite some time at the half-mountain small courtyard. They consulted Lu Qing and the elder doctor on many cultivation issues, receiving answers, leaving with insights and satisfaction. However, one person remained behind and did not leave with the others. That person was Lin Jirue. Young Master Lu, earlier you mentioned considering the invitation from the 3 Saint Masters after Mr. Chan crossed the tribulation. I wonder now. Lu Qing thought for a moment and said, Then let's go tomorrow. I'll go with you to the Holy Mountain and accept the invitation of the 3 Saint Masters. Young Master Lu, you are willing to accept the invitation? Then I will go back and immediately send a message to my master and the others. Upon hearing this, Lin Jirue was immediately overjoyed. Qing, do you need me to accompany you? The elder doctor asked from the side. Master, you have just formed a golden core and need to consolidate your cultivation, so there's no need to accompany a disciple on this journey. I can go alone. Lu Qing shook his head in response. He knew his master didn't like such occasions, and having just crossed the tribulation, it was most important for his master to consolidate his cultivation, without needing to be distracted by such trivial matters. All right, now that I've successfully crossed the tribulation and with the big array guarding, The safety of the village is no longer a concern. The elder doctor, knowing that Lu Qing has always been decisive, didn't insist when Lu Qing said he didn't need his company. Lu Qing smiled at his words. He certainly wasn't worried about the village's safety. His master is now at the Golden Core realm and has formed a top-grade Golden Core. It can be said that now in the whole world, apart from himself, no other powerful figure could possibly threaten his master. It's just that his master has always lacked a precise understanding of his own strength, thus remains unaware of this. By the way, master, take this jade scroll. It contains some insights I've compiled regarding the Golden Core realm, which might be useful to you. Lu Qing took out a jade scroll and handed it to his master. The elder doctor accepted it without refusal. He knew Lu Qing's current realm was much deeper and more profound than his own. Right now, though he has stepped into the Golden Core realm, when he looks at Lu Qing, he still feels as though he's surrounded by mist. His aura is ethereal and elusive, entirely unable to discern the specific extent of his realm. How could he not understand that although he and this disciple are both within the Golden Core realm, in terms of true strength, they are likely still far apart? With a hint of regret on his face, the elder doctor said, "Oa Qing, after crossing the tribulation earlier, my mind received a mysterious technique. The pity is that this technique seems not easily transmissible, otherwise, I could pass it on to you." Lu Qing felt stirred inside. Understanding this must be the heavenly gifted divine power his master mentioned. He couldn't help but smile. Since it can't be transmitted, it must be the heavenly tribulation's gift to you, a technique solely for you. Forcing it to be shared might violate the will of heaven and isn't really ideal. Lu Qing knew that the divine skills granted by the heavenly Tao are unique and should not be easily transmitted. Even if transmitted, others would be hard-pressed to learn it. Because at the time of heavenly Tao's bestowal, aside from the cultivation technique, a divine power seed was also integrated within the body. The divine power seed holds divine power and acts like a primer, guiding the cultivator to naturally attain the divine skill. Without the divine power seed, even if one obtained the cultivation technique, it would be difficult to master the true divine skill. For instance, he once coveted little Li's 2 innate divine abilities. He considered using his superpower to learn them. Ultimately, he discovered without the corresponding divine power, even if little Li shared the method to operate the divine skills, he couldn't cultivate those skills. It was then that he understood the secret of the heavenly gifted divine power. Of course, it might also be because his realm is too low to comprehend the essence of the divine skills, hence the limitation. Perhaps when his realm becomes sufficiently advanced, he might independently condense the divine power seed and possibly cultivate the divine skills. At any rate, even with his superpower assisting him now, he still cannot reach that stage. Not only the heavenly gifted divine power, even the Taoist chapter Lu Qing acquired is the same. He cannot pass it directly and completely to his master. At most he can share the insights and wisdom he gained from the Taoist chapter with his master. The jade scroll he gave to his master contains his insights into the Golden Core realm derived from the Taoist chapter and many cultivation techniques. Of course, because Lin Jirue was nearby, Lu Qing couldn't explicitly discuss these matters with his master. After all, heavenly gifted divine power is considered one of the strongest trump cards for every cultivator. The fewer people know about it, the better. In the coming days, things would be much more relaxed. To celebrate his master's success in crossing the tribulation and entering the Golden Core realm, Lu Qing personally cooked, preparing a lavish table of dishes. In between, he went to the river to fish for many spirit fish as ingredients, much to little Li's delight. After the meal, the elder doctor began seclusion, aiming to thoroughly familiarize himself with the power of the Golden Core realm and consolidate his cultivation. As for Lu Qing, early the next morning, after sending little Yen and the others to the Wei family's detached house and requesting Mrs. Wei to take care of them for a while, he then summoned the golden small boat, bringing Lin Jirue with him, heading straight towards Central State.